Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the HeroesHearth Teamfight Tactics Fight Night. I am your host for the evening, Blevins. Joining me today, a first-timer, Boop. Welcome.
It's good to be here, my friend.
It is great to be back here as we get to cast some awesome Teamfight Tactics action. Ooh, Boop, you're lucky, too, because you didn't have to go through the embarrassing trials of getting 8th while playing a fight night before getting asked to cast.
I think that's important to understand that previously, I guess, to become a caster, you either had to be a professional or Blevins, getting 8th place trying to run gunslingers. So I've learned my lesson. I've decided just to not take part in the situation and come on here and just show my face and show the people how much I love TFT and this community because it's so excited to be here. We get some great players and some good action that are going to be coming up, showing us exactly how to play this game and how to play it correctly. Hopefully, with little to no Void Assassins is what I'm hoping, but I know that's not going to be the case.
Everyone made a pact in the pre-show to not play Void Assassins, which means everyone's going to try to do it. But let's talk about some of those players that we will certainly be seeing forcing Void Assassins. We have returning the defending champ, JinxedJK, as well as the two other returning players here. We've got Azcryte and Faye. Notably here, Faye, she's been running the lobby in a sense. Two-time winner and has not missed a top 3. And, of course, the top 3 finishers here will be invited back to the next fight night. We've got some other players here. We've got Sphinx, who I don't want to play favorites here, but is an avid member of the Little Legends Podcast Discord. More on that later. We've also got Kladeous, Kymzi, Rayditz, and Zeus here. So really great lineup of players here. A lot of these players in high challenger and many of them at least grandmaster here. So really skilled lineup here today. And we are going to be playing 4 rounds. We're going to be playing 4 games here. And you can see on the right here, we've got the points breakdown. If you get first place, you're getting 4 points. Second, 3. Third, 2. Fourth, 1. And 5th or 8th, which I like to call the Blevins category, you're getting a big fat zilcho for points. But even if you do get a 0, you have the chance to come back in later rounds because we are playing 4 rounds. Total score is what matters here.
Yep, a bagel's only good as a food and not as a score, Blevins. You know that for sure. But what's pretty crazy, let's talk about some of these players because you said Faye's been running the lobby, and I think it's been 5 fight nights so far without a single result underneath 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely the pinnacle of consistency here. It is, I mean, it's one thing to just do well and spike 1 fight night. That's great, but she has won 2. So she's gotten first place in 2 of them, as well as being top 3 in all 5, which is absolutely crazy, especially when we take a look at the bit breakdown here and the prizes for this event, which is going to be really cool here. So guys, if you are listening here, make sure get your bits out, pull out your bit cards or your bit.
You just pull them out, whip them out, guys.
Right out of your pockets. And get them in the chat.
Mixed in with your pocket sand. Just throw them out.
Throw those bits right out of your pocket and into the Twitch chat because all of the bits here are going to be supporting the community. 60% of the bits in the channel tonight are going to go to the top 4 finishers. You can see the breakdowns here. First is getting a whopping 25%, followed by 15 for second and 10 for third and fourth. And then also we're at 20% to the bounty. So the returning champion does get the chance to claim the bounty if they get to be the 2-time. Actually, Faye did get that and opted to just keep on rolling, as well as 20% to our wonderful cast and crew here, which is getting, I mean, amazing talent here like Boop, as well as, other talent like me here as well. But that's okay.
It's funny. We got a little interview sheet earlier, and it was like, but the last question was, who's the better caster? And I was like, casting's not about competition. It's not about who's the best, but it's me. Right. So it's, okay, but just to put it.
You took the arrogant route. I said, I have some strengths here, but Boop is literally a professional caster. I took the high road, and Boop was just like, yeah, no, just stepped right on my face and just.
Well, I mean, how else are you going to know where your place is all I have to say. But no, it's been a pleasure working with Blev throughout this, TFT journey. We've been working on a podcast, the Legends podcast, and it's been so amazing because the community here has been so supportive and so engrossed in this game and really wanting it to grow. And it's really cool to see these grassroots organizations like this one take over and really try to elevate what TFT esports can be. And while we can, speak and jest and talk to each other about it, it's still really awesome to work with a good friend of mine for something like this and meet other people in the community. It is my first time this time around. But yeah, enough of the emotional stuff, Blevins, because I'm sure we'll have some time to be emotional. We'll cry on each other's shoulders a little bit later as we see Void Assassins win a 4th lobby in a row.
No, I'm going to be crying tears of joy for that.
But what do you want to see today? What kind of plays you want to see? There's been some new popular wild builds coming through. There's been Sphinx was able to cast it in his Ranger comp against you the other day. By the way, Blev and I can't decide if we like or dislike Sphinx. We're still trying to figure it out.
I love Sphinx. Sphinx is good people, but hopefully he's not listening to this, so he doesn't hear me say that. He probably doesn't hear me say that, or maybe he does. I don't know. But we love Sphinx. But if anyone asks, say that we're very mad at him for countering my one game in a casual game that we played together. But yeah, no, I want to see. We did see a popular streamer post a video about this comp that's been kind of running wild, pun intended, in the Chinese scene. It is a 4 wild comp. It's not quite the level of Void Assassins where you can just auto roll it and as the kids call it, donkey roll it in the beginning. But it is a comp. It is yes, these cotton tootin' ragamuffins. I didn't know where I was going with that, but this wild Sork shapeshifter dragon build is one that we see a lot. Gnar obviously being great, Shyvana being really great, but we've seen this one be almost a nice counter to the ever prevalent Void Assassins, because you can make an almost unkillable Shyvana with some Phantom Dancers and Warmogs, and it's just a really good, solid comp in the metagame, because a lot of these units, with the exception of Gnar maybe, aren't really valued too high by a lot of the other popular comps.
Well, and that's just how you counter in this kind of lobby. So that's the thing that's so impressive to me about these high-level players is when I'm playing, right, my lowly plat self, right? When I'm playing, I'm like, okay, I want to do this, and that's who I get, right? But these players will be able to transition in and out multiple comps. They might start one way. They might start maybe Void Assassin and end with an Elemental Rangers comp. You never know based on how they're able to control their economy and develop their boards based off of what other people are playing too. And I think that's like the most interesting thing. So what is something that you think we're going to see in terms of that high level play that some of us at home who might not be, that diamond and above that you have to be to participate in this tournament, really be on display right here?
Yeah, I think the flexibility, you hit the nail on the head there. The flexibility of some of these players is just beyond my comprehension. If I get a single Shyvana or a single Ashe, I'm just like, oh, well, the rest of this game pretty much writes itself, and I hope I win. I see the game as just very much a role-based game. But these players, I mean, we've actually casted Kladeous in other events before. We've seen Kladeous just be the pinnacle of just diversity in build comps. We see him tend to, I don't want to give away too many strategies to the other players, but we just see him stay open very late and just build these random comps that don't seem like they're going anywhere. We come back to him later and he just has this amazing comp that's super strong. We've seen a lot of players be able to do that. I think what's really cool about this meta here, and notably here, this is really the last foray of 9 but we are going to be starting here very soon. So This
Yeah,
is
so we've just got like a technical difficulty,
Yeah.
so don't worry about it. But I think, Blev, what you're trying to say is we have arguably one of the bigger patches we've ever had in Teamfight Tactics ever since maybe the beginning of this game, and it's with gloves and gauntlets and yordles and all this other amazing stuff that's going to happen in the game. So this is going to be the last tournament of its kind before the patch drops on Wednesday. So the other thing that I think is really interesting is a lot of people, even though we just said this next patch is going to be big, the last patch that went through changed very small things, but seemed to have affected a lot of casual players. I know a lot of people seem to be struggling with how to level, when to do that stuff. So we'll make sure to point all that stuff out and show you guys the patterns and the strengths and weaknesses of what each of these boards and players are going to be doing. Is we're going to start. We have the opening carousel, and first and foremost, we got to talk about the Lil Legends, because that's going to decide who our favorites are to start.
Yes. I don't remember what this little guy's called, but he's a mid-tier. He's a mid-tier little legend. The cat, I like the cat. I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what any of the real names of them are, except for maybe Pengu and the Hushtail is the other one. Because Hushtail, I mean, let's just say it. Hushtail is S tier, right?
Hushtail it's S plus tier. It's overpowered.
Okay, yes, it is overpowered. Yes, I agree. Hushtail is great.
There it is. Look how beautiful.
There's Sphinx. There's Sphinx right there. He's got Hushtail.
Yep, and so so the other thing that they changed in the previous patch was you're able to get champions in orbs now, and so a lot of professional players seem to be using those champions as gold. But is there a situation where you say, all right, I might have just gotten 2 Aatroxes in this orb. Do I try to keep them, or is it better to have that be 6 gold?
Yeah, I mean, I think the generally accepted view is that the gold is almost always better, but it's definitely questionable. If I got 2 Shyvanas in an opening gambit, like, I'm going in on that. If I got 2 Ashes or something like that, or even 1 Ash early, I'm very I definitely will tend to go into that. I mean, we see two Zeds here. That's just like, that's strong. And a Kha'Zix. Oh man, is Faye going to do it? No. The more Kha'Zixes
you got to get the spatula. That's the big thing, though,
that's
right?
True.
You have to get the spatula and the sword. And right now we do have a sword on the board for Kladeous, and now all he's going to need is that spatula. He has the casted, but I think everyone's going to be trying for the casted. So we've been talking a lot about Void Assassins. Everyone knows that they're good. What are the types of things that you can run to go against if you see someone in your lobby starting out like this?
Yes, I will get to that in just a second. We did get a 500-bit donation from I'm Cordis, showing his support for JinxedJK. So, guys, before we get really into the action here, I just want to say, make sure you get your bits in. They are going directly to the community, and I want to see some copy pastas, guys. Whatever your favorite copy pastas or memes are, if you are going to throw some bits in, let's see them. I want to see them, and we will read them out on the stream. But as you were asking, Boop, one of the great ways to counter Void Assassins, or just assassins in general, is actually, and I know you might want to cover your ears for this, is the Yordle synergy here. You can't get crits if they dodge the attacks, and I've had a lot of success with 3 Yordle buff, because you get a Poppy, a Gnar, and a Kennen, and they're just 3 good units regardless of what else you have, and you can build that into so much. And also, I've actually seen a lot more usage of Phantom Dancer this patch specifically, because again, if you're dodging the crits, Void Assassin and assassins in general just get so much worse when you get that extra little bit of leeway to just not automatically die.
Yeah, and so the unfortunate thing about it is it's item dependent, right? And I think that's part of the game, is you want the items to be super impactful when you have it, but when you're going against Void Assassins, there's also other things that you have to worry about, and the Phantom Dancer is something that can't help you in the long run. But you say you go up against some mages a little later on, and Asol, it's not going to be as effective, and it's all going to come down to that rock, paper, scissors at the end of the lobby. And so now that we're seeing some of these boards get developed, one thing that I like like to see is how these players position, and if we're going to see any purposeful lose streaks, because lose streaking, I think, is one of the biggest brain types of things you can do in this game. And when would you want to lose streak, and why is that even a thing? Why do you want to lose?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're on the topic of Void Assassins. Void Assassins is absolutely one of the builds that not only wants, but probably needs to lose streak, unless you get super, super lucky. You absolutely need a Yumu's Ghostblade, which is a combination of a Golden Spatula and a BF Sword. And if you don't have those two items, you basically can't run it, because you can't make your Cassadin. You can't make your Cassadin an assassin. And without that, you can't run the comp, and you need to be able to, because the spatula and actually also the BF sword itself are just such highly prioritized items. You need to have an early spot in the pick order for the carousel in order to ensure that you get one of those or both of those items.
All right, we're looking at Sphinxy Boy right now, and the cool thing about Sphinx right here is he's going to run some wild. His Rageblade's going to get Hex Tech. On the other side, you got Rayditz having Ludens on at the Ari. Why is that? Why are we seeing these item builds for both of these players right now?
Yeah, Rageblade, actually, Riot Mort tweeted out, or maybe talked about it on a stream a while ago, that Rageblade across almost every single skill rating is the most built item. I think it's just one of those items that it feels good. It's such a cool item.
It's fun.
And it's fun. It's good. And something like Ludens is a very strong early game item, especially on a unit like Ari, where you're building that to try to get an early win streak. Unfortunately, did not work out against our boy Sphinx here. As the Crittily, as I like to call her, did a lot of damage there with the Rageblade.
Well, it's and if you're new and you're watching, and maybe this is your first foray into TFT, and you're watching this lobby for the very first time, Crittily does work without a crit item, because every character crits in this game. All items stack. It's very interesting if you're coming over from a regular old League of Legends, seeing some items built like on Lulu, Spear Shojin, or other types of items that might not necessarily go well in a League of Legends proper, but go very well in a game like this. And it looks like on this part of the lobby, Zeus is looking to run some assassins. He's got his Cassadin too, but what is this Void Assassin player really trying to do? You want to lose early on, but right now he has won his last game. He's got a Nico's help, which will help with getting someone to rank 3, but what's he looking for right now?
Well, right now there's really... It looks almost like he's just holding the voids. Could go void Sorks, which is certainly a comp that we see a decent amount with brawlers, or in his case, knights here. We already see the Lulu at level 2 with a Seraph's Embrace. I think what Zeus is doing here is potentially leaving the option to actually play the voids just without the hyper roll assassins, which is certainly playable, and also at the same time cutting. If there is a void assassin player in the lobby, cutting these things, these units early is just going to hamper them so much. I think we've seen a couple of other players do that as well. The Void Assassins build relies so heavily on getting those tier 3 one cost units that if you can take even a few copies as a free roll, it's not costing you economy. You can certainly just do it. But I also think Zeus might actually be playing these units here.
And so we're going to be looking around a little bit longer. So Void Assassins is something that we're talking about a lot. So why would you put a Lulu in that comp, right? You're seeing a bunch of Voids. Lulu seems so very out of character here. Why even invest an item at this point?
Well, like I said before, I think there's the distinct possibility that Zeus just goes Sorcerers, in which case you actually want the Lulu just as a unit. Also, it's tier 2. Maybe he opened a couple. Just from chests, and he just has a free roll tier 2 unit, which you're almost always going to play this early in the game. And the Cassadin itself is a sorcerer, so could actually just be running the Cassadin as a unit in his comp legitimately, and not trying to troll the Void Assassins players. Might just be going for sorcerers here.
Yeah, it just goes to show how strong Cassadin is. Cassadin is going to be going through some changes as the Kha'Zix gets upgraded. Let's go ahead and talk about Kymzi a little bit more. From the UK, it's very late/early there, but is here in Fight Night showing her stuff. And right now we got some wilds, and still, I think, thinking about how they want to do this comp here. Positioning for Krugs, I feel like most people, if they lose to an NPC round, it's this one. We're probably not going to see it from anyone from this lobby, but what are you seeing here on her board?
This is close here, actually. The generally accepted, or I guess the rule of thumb for Krugs, if you're still level 4, is you need to have 2 tier 2 units, which Kymzi does have. So it looks like we've got a little bit of a gunslinger build. We've got the tier 2 Nidalee, which could just be in for power right now. Looks like she's collecting a bunch of gunslingers here. Notably, there's the Twisted Fate and she actually has the Pike already. There's a Twisted Fate. Could run pirates here and just start building an economy. It looks like she's already got over 40 gold here. Could potentially go for the pirates here and just start collecting gold, but looks like she's opting towards the power here. Could be going a more aggressive role.
Ooh, look at that.
Gunslingers.
Yeah, needed that Tristana as well. And the thing about gunslingers is these units really fall off late game. So how does a gunslinger player survive until the very end of the game and potentially win?
Well, the gunslingers they are very powerful, mostly from the gangplank and just the items that they can build. You put a red buff, a hush, a sword breaker, all those items work so well with gunslingers because they're hitting multiple targets. And you can really, a gunslinger is not losing a 1v1 duel when they have a sword breaker. It's just not the case. The opponent's not going to be able to do enough damage, and you're just going to win that battle. We see the same with Hush too, preventing a lot of these spell-oriented comps from getting their critical spells off. I think that a lot of times it pairs with Blade Master, so in a lot of the cases you need a Blade of the Ruined King to turn one of your gunslingers into a Blade Master, but when you do, it almost unlocks in a similar way that Void Assassins does and just really starts doing some heavy damage.
Yeah, that's when you start thinking about that late game. Make your Jinx that Blade Master. Make really most of the gunslingers probably outside of Gangplank, and even he technically could work as a Blade Master when you get that buff going. And so we're looking at Kladeous right now, and he's looking at a very similar comp. Unfortunately, Kymzi has most of the gunslingers in her board right now, but we also have some knights going on here.
Oh yeah, I think the thing about the gunslingers is that it's like you're thinking, oh, well, everyone's either going to be going Void Assassins or maybe the Wild build or maybe Sorcerers. So it's like, okay, what's probably going to be open? Oh, gunslingers. But if everyone is at the same level of that, like rock, paper, scissors, like what level are you going? If everyone ends up at the same conclusion, you actually end up having a glut on this off meta comp, but it's meta for this lobby, so we might be seeing that here with Kladeous. It also depends on what they open early too, right? They're gonna it can probably support 2 gunslinger players. The lobby can probably support 2 gunslingers players, but if you start getting too many players running the same comps, they are going to end up getting they're going to end up being just not having the units that they need.
Well, and the reason why it can support multiple gunslinger players is because gunslingers are usually low cost outside of Gangplank and Jinx. The rest of them are, I think, 2 and below. And MF, of course, the best gunslinger, if I say so myself.
She's getting a big buff in the new patch.
Yeah, really good at hitting empty space. If that's something you need in your, I
attack the darkness. Shout outs to people who get that like 20-year-old.
I attack the darkness. That's great. That's good stuff. And as we have a little bit of time, as we're looking at Faye the Queen right now, if you type in !TFT sign up, you'll get some information to how to get involved in the fight nights. Remember, you do have to be diamond or higher. If you're grandmaster or challenger, that's awesome. But diamond or higher is also welcome. And we're going to have some new stuff coming in the future that we're really, really excited about. Again, donate your bits because the bits are going to be going to the players as well as the cast and a crew. And also, just like Blev said, let's get that copy pasta going because I love me some creative copy pasta. My favorite is a classic. It's the I can call Boop by his first name. That one is a really good one. What is a classic copy pasta for you, my friend?
I mean, one of my favorite copy pastas is just like the one that is spamming an emote that says ban. It's like ban one orc, get the whole horde or something like that. Like, but it goes across any number of copy pastas. It's like ban one. It's ban one. Haha, get the whole third grade like that. Like those like just overly stupid ones. Those are the dumber, the funnier, and the better in my book.
I like ones that don't rhyme because it's like spam this guy to help out, Ty is like how it would be. But I like it's like spam this guy to help out Charles. Right? Those are good. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, got to get the U-turn going.
Yes, the self-aware meme spam is just great. One thing to note here is that on this carousel, because Faye was in last place right now, she did end up getting the spatula, and it was the first spatula that we actually saw in a carousel. So that could be an interesting turn for her. But is this another gunslinger?
Yeah, with the Swordbreaker and seeing how good these items are. So Swordbreaker is not an item that you might initially feel like you can build, right? But with the Gunslinger buff, it's going to be able to apply on many people potentially, and you're seeing it work so well right in front of our eyes. And we've already got a level 3 Tristana somewhere. Gunslingers are everywhere. And so this lobby is really opened up. We might see a board win that we normally don't see.
A Demon Asol is a scary prospect for this lobby. Especially with Dragon Buff. I mean, this is a really interesting spot. Notably here, Demon Asol with no follow-up demon. So Faye probably looking for a Morgana or a Brand or just some other demon to really get the full benefit out of this demon buff. But even without it, Asol's still getting a ton of starting mana to be able to get that cast off early and often.
Well, I think an underrated thing that might be useful we just saw there is because it's the only item she's got. The Hex Tech does focus down an item that's really not going to be doing a ton for that Asol. Really needs to get another ult off in order to compete, which this is a little closer than one might have expected. That Dragon buff is just so strong. And with that Lulu ult, it looks like Faye might be able to pull this out.
Oh, yeah. The Lulu ult secured it for sure. And speaking of securing it for sure, Boxwine comes in and secures our undying love for sure. Spam this Corgi to help out Fred. Yeah. He gets it. That's 1,000-bit spam plus the extra 10% from Subway because it is still September. So, guys, make sure you get your spam in here. Boxwine, an absolute champion and an absolute menace here, taking that top bit spot for the night.
Yeah, Boxwine and I go way back to college. That's for sure. I was very familiar with Boxwine back in my college days.
Okay, I get it. You mean actual boxed wine, not the guy Boxwine. Because I'm like, I know Boxwine from other stuff too. I don't know him from college, but I see. I get it. Took me a little bit. Now I get it.
Well, so something that, again, if you're new to TFT, we'll start with like some of the newer stuff and we'll get to the advanced stuff as we go through and learn these players, learn these comps, is a lot of people will put on 1-2 items. Some people, just like we have right here with Jinx, with the Lissandra, will stack on somebody early on.
Someone's been watching Osto videos.
I know, right? You decide, right? Why are some players keeping all their items on their bench while others are starting to invest like we see here?
Well, you see Jinx here. If you look next to his gold, you see that nice little flame with a 5 next to it. And he wants to do everything he can to keep that number going up. Every single win here is going to get him even more gold because of the win streak. The higher your win streak, the more bonus gold you get. And a lot of times you don't necessarily need the early win streak. You can, as we talked about before, you can get a better position in the carousel. If you lose, you can get a lose streak going. But once you actually have that win streak, you want to preserve it in a lot of ways because you're going to be getting more gold. You're getting more passive gold just from winning, and you're preserving your life total, which, as we start getting into this mid game here, is going to be a big thing. As we see at the top of the board, we have Kymzi at 78 health And we've got Azcryte here down at the bottom with 34. And I mean, at this point, with people leveling up and whatnot, I mean, Azcryte is 2 really bad losses away from just being out of the game potentially.
Yeah, the damage increases as time goes on, as levels get higher, and then your little legend damage gets higher as well. It does transition from 1, 2, 3 to 4 as we get into late game. And we've got an interesting comp here. We got Pirate Gunslinger with the Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath probably in there just because it's a strong unit. 1 Camille away from a level 3, but it just seems like Azcryte's in a position where other people got the units that he needed. Cho'Gath gets a great rupture off, but in the end, it's not going to matter because the Gunslingers are able to overcome Sphinx on the other side.
Yep. And I don't want to call it prophetic, but he did lose exactly half of his health there on that loss. But this position for Azcryte, it feels all too familiar for me because I feel like I'm in this sort of position where I've just got a mishmash of garbage and I don't know where I'm going. I realized I forced a comp that 3 other people in the lobby are going and I'm the worst one. It's a tough spot as we see him roll down here to try to get something going. He just needs to not lose. He doesn't even, the winning part is just secondary. He needs to not lose.
And so the Hextech is going to get a nice tick on to that Gnar, but is it going to be enough? Remember, Azcryte sitting at 17 health. Got to put those items on because you might not last. And it doesn't look like it's going to be good news for Azcryte as not a single unit on the other side gets taken down. And we do have our first casualty of the lobby. Zeus might be pretty close behind, sitting at 8 health. And look at this, the Queen. On a fire, all of a sudden was at the bottom of the lobby before, but now has risen all the way up to that 5th place on fire as well with Jinx on top. And with 8 health, this particular carousel is going to be pretty important for a lot of these players because the transition now is into the late game, right? We're going to see certain comps fall off. We're going to see certain comps get better. And now these players really need to find those items and finish off those higher tiered units.
Yeah, this is the carousel. I mean, sometimes it's this carousel, sometimes it's the next, depending on how fast the lobby's going. As we've already seen 1 and almost 2 players eliminated. This is a very strong early carousel here. This is where, we saw Azcryte kind of had a mishmash of like all right units. That's not going to cut it in this meta right now. We need to see strong units. We need to have a strong comp, and Zeus really looks like he was looking for really needed the spatula there to make the assassin Cassidon, the Cassidon. Did not get it, and this is the point where I've been in it as well as an avid spammer of Void Assassins. This is where you just have to cut your losses and just make a good Cassidon, as Zeus does not have many, probably can't afford to lose another round this entire game.
Yeah, he's going to have to be perfect. On the other side, it's going to be tough because, like you said, a counter 2 assassins is those Yordles, and I saw 3 on the other side, along with some elementals. This is going to be rough for him. I don't think Zeus is going to last much longer. Ding dong,
the Void is dead.
There it is. The Lollipop Guild might come out here soon, but before they do, we're going to see him get eliminated into 7th place. And look at how far Faye has climbed. This reminds me of Crowan back in the Omega Esports League, right? Where it doesn't matter where you are in the lobby. If you know how to play and you know your checkpoints for your comp and how to transition, you might end up in the top 3 like Faye anyway, because of just being calm, cool, and collected and knowing exactly how to play this comp against the other comps on the board. Because I think with the Asol and all of the gunslingers on the other side, one good ult means you might be able to pull that victory out no matter what.
Yeah, this is, we saw Azcryte's build didn't really pan out, but if you looked at it, it's like, where was that build going? We're not sure. I'm not blaming him as a player. I think it was he was a victim of circumstance, thinking that Gunslingers was going to be open, which is a reasonable thought, but did not quite get there and did not end up having a comp. Even when he rolled down, just didn't have a comp that would have been able to beat some of these meta comps.
Yep, and Sphinx, I think, doing that like high roll shapeshifter had a level 3 Nidalee already. The Gnar was looking at good, and shapeshifters is another comp that is so very strong in today's meta, and that might change moving forward into the next patch, but we're not there quite yet. And so, can you describe to us what makes shapeshifters good, Blev?
Yeah, shapeshifters is really good because you can just make a virtually unkillable Shyvana or Gnar or both with a Phantom Dancer and a Warmog's a Warmog's armor, or what is it? Is it Warmog? I don't know. Warmog's whatever.
Warmog's, yeah.
Warmog's something. A level 2 Shyvana with even just Shapeshifter 3 bonus is very, very hard to kill because it also has magic resistance of 83% in this patch. And it just really makes it very hard to kill the Shyvana if it ever transforms, which it almost certainly will. And if you add even pretty much any other item, especially a Hextech Gunblade, you're going to have a really, really hard time killing that Shyvana. And in the world of Void Assassins and Rangers, it's just you're not able to actually kill this Shyvana. And I routinely, me playing this comp myself, have seen Shyvana 1v6 a comp after she transforms. So that, coupled with the fact that Gnar is just a fantastic unit, and the fact that a lot of these early units like the Nidalee and even the Warwick in some cases are not super high value going into late game, you can just get tier 3 units, and even at one cost, a tier 3 unit is going to be a pretty good addition in almost any comp.
Yeah, we're seeing some shapeshifter shenanigans right here, right now. Is Kymzi at 12 HP might get eliminated here. Survives
1 HP and a dream.
Yep, the math goes in her favor, but that could be it. This next round might be it for Kymzi. And so we're seeing these gunslingers kind of fall off a little bit. We got some Blade Masters, but these gunslingers have been so much more competitive than I think anyone might have guessed going into this lobby. I think a lot of us thought, oh, Void Assassins for sure, and no one was able to get spatulas. So we didn't see any of that Void Assassin shenanigans ourselves, but we've got Kymzi at 1 health, and right above, we've got Rayditz at 18. This is actually a pretty close lobby because from like 3rd to 6th right there, it could really be anyone's game. Each one of them can't really lose anything else.
Yeah, I mean, Faye, certainly it would be really tough to lose 29, but Kladeous, Rayditz, and Kymzi all at death's door, and it looking like here that Kymzi is in fact going to go out here unless something crazy happens with that Shyvana, or the Tristana rather. But
couldn't get the Swordbreaker procs. And looking on the other side, something we don't see very often is a Twisted Fate stacked with items. You got a Shiv, you got a Hurricane. That does look good. It's also performing quite well, as we are 1 player away from finishing for points for the scoreboard. We saw that earlier. Everything from 5th to 8th gets 0 points, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way back up. And now it is game time for a lot of these players. Kladeous is in that 5th position, but really Rayditz can lose 1 time and also fall into that 5th position. And, if they win, Faye could also, if she loses 2 in a row, that could be it for her as well. But we do have a level 2 Jinx. We got some Blade Masters. We got a little hodgepodge of different kinds of units right now for Kladeous, and not the best hex tech for him in that situation.
No, not the best. But still, I mean, Hextech at this point in the game, like it was good positioning by Faye, obviously, but you get a good Hextech positioning and it can really mess someone up. Kladeous, however, not quite there. Faye was too much. Kladeous unfortunately takes our last 0 point spot.
Bends the knee to the queen.
Yes. This, of course, one of the most exciting carousels is we're getting completed items here.
Yeah, and so those items represent items that have not been built just yet, and so no one has any of those items other than the Swordbreaker, I guess.
That's next patch that's coming in.
Okay, so
I don't even know what the
I was just doing a preview for you guys.
Yes, that's what it will be.
There.
Or
yeah, we were practicing
what it should be. Yes.
Yeah. But the completed items. Yeah, the completed items do go on to these characters and champions, and the death cap onto the Cho'Gath is absolutely terrifying. especially with a Void buff. That's going to be true damage going in. Big AoE spell with that Rupture, and might be able to get a second Rupture off with that Redemption.
Yeah, this is actually that. This was a build that's been gaining a lot of popularity here. It's actually the Twisted Fate Sorcerer Brawler comp, which is another one of those like meta. It's like inherently maybe it's not that great, but in the meta, it's so great because like who is playing Twisted Fates, and one blue card from Twisted Fate will just enable so many alts, but not quite enough here for Rayditz, and that is actually a death for him.
Yeah, so we have the top three. We got Faye, Sphinx, and Jinxed. Oh, that's fun. Sphinx and Jinx. That's a nice. Yeah, rhyming is fun. So the top three, Faye slowly but surely climbed from the bottom. She was in last place at I think the first carousel, and has found her way up to the top. Is she going to be able to take down Jinx? No, Jinx finding the better of Faye. Jinx sitting pretty good at 59. So is Sphinx. Faye is very far behind the top two. She's going to really need to win out. And I hear the economy too for these two, for the top
Jinx, I think.
So very strong right now.
Oh yeah, Jinxed. 50 gold. Bud, are you saving that for next game, man?
It doesn't carry over.
This is the mark of a very good player here, because I'd be rolling this down. Like, I don't want this. I want to get even more powerful.
Don't have money.
Right.
Oh, huge.
I don't know if I've ever had gold after level 8 for any amount of time. I thought I just stopped getting gold after I hit level 8.
Yeah, I know, and then die the very next round, right? Because
I was also going to say, what's it like being level 8?
I know, right? You level up really, really fast, and you get to the end. You have no more units because you sold them, and you were 2 away. You didn't do the math right, so you never make it to level 8. That's my life. That's the life I'm living.
Yeah, it looks like now Jinx did just get a loss to Sphinx. They are within 1 HP of each other. I'm wondering, is right now Jinx could spend 50 gold to level up. I'm just wondering what he's actually looking to do. Like, what could he do to even improve here? It's interesting. He does have all this gold, but I guess maybe he just made the decision to be like, there's nothing I can really do to get better here. Like, what? I guess he could add another wild somewhere. He could add a knight to get a bonus. He's pretty powerful right now. This is one of those spots that you try not to get in, though you can't really avoid it necessarily, is where you're pretty powerful, but you don't really have much to, like, he can roll and try to get a level 2 Swain. Everything else is level 2. Probably not getting level 3s of any of these. He's in a precarious spot with 50 gold. He also doesn't need to spend. He's got, even in the worst of scenarios, he's got 2 losses that he can take here. And still be okay. So until he gets that first big loss, I think he's just going to stand pat and see if he can make small improvements while maintaining economy.
Well, the unfortunate thing for him, though, is he did just lose to Sphinx, and so that clock might be ticking for him, but not as much as Faye. As we see Jinx face the Echo here, that's why they're all turned around if you're confused at home. And let's see, this Gnar ult is pretty big. The redemption goes through. Oh, goes a little too early. That's something that you don't normally say, right? The redemption's always late, but that time around it didn't heal late enough. Needed to have a little bit more damage done. Another Gnar ult. Look at the HP on that Gnar with the Dragon's Claw. It's going to be so hard to burst through.
Yeah, and man, there's just so much going on here. One thing to note about Jinxed's lineup is that he, I believe, doesn't have he doesn't have 2 wild bonus, right? So what's notable about that is that since we see 3 builds with shapeshifters and with shapeshifters in them, so these games are going late. They're going into overtime a lot of time. Well, wilds allows all of your units to gain passive attack speed after every attack. So the longer the game goes, the more powerful your units are going to go. But for Jinxed, he's actually not, his Gnar is not getting that buff. So that could be the distinction here, that gives the other players a little bit of an advantage, but it is neck and neck between Sphinx and Jinxed right now. And Faye is still surviving with that 19 HP.
Yeah, this might be a rock, paper, scissors scenario this time around, though. The is going to bring the Swain back, and it's going to be enough to get that Swain to ult. The HP regeneration not going to be quite enough. Too much for Jinx, as Sphinx is going to be the better Rhyme this time around. And thank you, JinxedJK, for the sub and the bits. Nice. Is what I have to say. Nice. And we still have this top 3 going, and Faye just refuses to go down, finds herself in second place, but really they're all looking up at Sphinxy Boy at the top.
Yeah. Well, another thing to note here is we saw, 3, maybe 3.5 players going gunslingers.
None of them made it to the
Zero of
end.
them in the top 3.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned it. It is not a comp that tends to make it to late game, right? I feel like if you're going to be running gunslingers, eventually you're going to have to try to transition into something else if you can. But the other weird thing about it was the gunslingers were so competitive throughout all of the early game. You know, Kymzi was in first place for a while running those gunslingers, and unfortunately didn't transition past that mid to late game well enough. And we're seeing these better late game comps. Interestingly enough, no ashes, no elementals right now. Just shapeshifters with those Gnars and some good items. Dragon Claw seems to be pretty popular, but I think these Gnars are going to be what we're going to be looking at for most of this time, because they're going to be the tankiest. They're probably going to be one of the last units remaining. And just like we said, the Gnar is going to be last here, but Demon Gnar is just a really great way to make sure that you get that HP quick, you start going. As Jinx gonna start losing out here. It looks like Faye may have overcome that power level, and the only reason why, because they're running similar comps, would be potentially that wild buff.
Yeah, the other thing, and this is interesting, because I don't know if I'd ever suggest this, but I think the Asol might not be good right now. Everyone's got a Shyvana with Dragon Buff. We see at least one of the Gnars, I think it's Sphinx's, has a Dragon's Claw on it. Asol Sneeze, everyone's got their salad bar sneeze protector here. They're not getting any snot on them. I think I want to, well, I mean, Jinx doesn't have any more of that 60 gold, but I want to get rid of the Asol and throw in a Pantheon potentially, and because I think it's just going to do more, and put those items on someone else. I want that Rage Blade on somebody else. I just don't think that the Asol is doing enough here.
Well, we're going to see Asols on both sides, and you saw how early that Gnar ulted, and sometimes that is not the greatest thing. It's a super impactful ult, and if you ult super early, you might not get the value that you want. As we're seeing the snot fly right here, and the good news for that Swain is it ulted before they died, and that's the thing about GA and the interactions. It will always complete the channel of an ultimate after the unit has died, but we do have another eliminated player that's going to be Jinx, our defending champion. We have Sphinx, the better of the Rhyme this time around, against Faye, who has won quite a bit recently, sitting at 19 health for what feels like forever, 5 rounds at least. Yeah,
I mean, Sphinx obviously has the advantage here. He can lose one at least. It's not possible to do 40. Faye might lose if she loses the heads up here, but because of the nature of these comps, these games are going long, and it's probably going to be a 2v1 or a 1v1 in the end. So Faye might actually have 2 losses in her arsenal as well. It's gonna be really tough here, and we do see the Pantheon come out here for Faye. I don't think the Asol is still in. I mean, I don't know what you put in instead, but I just don't like the Asol in this case, especially against Sphinx's Dragon's Claw.
Yeah, things don't seem to be going Faye's away right now, and there it is. That's going to be the end of the first lobby with Sphinx, or as we like to say, Sphinxy Boy, going to take those 4 points, first place in that first lobby, but anything can change here. We're going to get to those points here in just a second, but that's how you want to start, right? Sphinx can start out on top, but on the very next game, the whole lobby might reverse. It's still anyone's game going into the second lobby. But congratulations, Sphinx. That's how you make a name for yourself and how you become the favorite going through the rest of these rounds.
Yeah, and we do see the points line up here. But don't worry, guys. If your favorite player got a big old Blevins donut in the first round, don't worry. We are playing 3 more rounds here, so it is still anyone's game. I would also like to note Sphinx's in-game tag, that LL Pod. I don't know where that's from. I mean, but it sounds like a cool TFT podcast. But we are going to be seeing 3 more rounds of play, and yeah, I'm interested to see here. Are we going to see people go for gunslingers again, or are we going to see 0? Because this is that weird dichotomy, because it's like, man, gunslingers didn't do well last game. So that means no one's going to run it back, right? So in my mind, I'm like, well, then I got to run it. I'm a gunslinger player. I'm probably going to be all right.
You know, okay, so I was a music major back in college, right? I dabbled in a little bit of jazz. And something in jazz that they always said is there are no wrong notes in jazz. There are just things that sound better, right? And some of the best things you could do is when you play something odd is to lean into it, right? Play it like 6 more times, right? Just you gotta lean into what you think might not work. And in the end, if you just intentionally just again lean into joy, it might work out for you. But I think the big reason why the gunslingers didn't work out is because there weren't a lot of assassin players into this lobby. Yeah. We had one try, but the spatula never came about. They had the sword, but in the end, the spatula wasn't there, and that's what you need. You got to make your Kassadin a Kassadin, as you like to say, Blev. You're the first one that you came up with that, by the way. I want everyone to know, if you hear Kassadin, if you hear Burf, that is Blev and his buddy Deathblow back from the day, right? And so that is, you've already left an indelible impact on our community.
That is at least maybe true, but we do see a spatula in the opening carousel here. Kladeous picking it up and powering up with his Super Saiyan little legend as he gets the spatula on the opening gambit. I mean, that's how you start off with Void Assassins, right? The spatula on the opener. It'll be interesting to see in a couple rounds if we see him all-inning it or if he goes away from it. But I mean, Jinxed with the BF sword on the Shen here is also an avenue to get Void Assassins, because if you get, I mean, you do need the spatula eventually, but you don't need it immediately.
Yeah, well, the reason why is because, as I get excited about a point, the reason why is because you don't necessarily want to win. As the Void Assassin player early on. There was a wonderful guide put out on Reddit a little while back, about a week ago, showing exactly you want to misposition. You want to position as horribly as possible so you can pick first on that second carousel. He did start with the spatula, so that might not be as necessary. That's really good if you need to pick first on that first carousel for that spatula, maybe for the BF sword if he's unable to get one through these NPC rounds, but you never know.
I mean, you still want to do it early because you'd like to get the sword early so then you can start winning and getting a win streak. Like, you don't need to stay bad forever, but you do want to start off bad early so you can get it early, and then you can actually keep losing. And then, because you also, like, you don't absolutely need to get a rapid fire cannon on the Kassadin, but you really, really want a rapid fire cannon on the Kassadin if you are going to go Void Assassin. So it is still nice to misposition and actually open fort, as the kids call it, if you're going Void Assassins, but not really seeing a lot of the Void Assassins here for Kladeous, and is actually, at least right now, opting to not even buy a Zed.
So we'll see what might come out of these Gunslingers that we see on his board. He's got that Lucian, he got a couple Blade Masters, got some Knights, just keeping things open, keeping things flexible, right? Might be getting ready for a game of Twister later. You know, gotta keep things limber. We'll see if he's gonna, we'll see if he's gonna be able to transition into something else. Let's see what items he's got. No sword, and so this is the predicament, right? That a lot of Void Assassin players could go into. You get that initial spatula. Now is the time where he gets to really decide if Void Assassins is where he wants to go. Is hovering over that Rek'Sai. He's thinking about it.
Yeah, he is. Here's the other thing that you can do with a spatula early is you can actually go the gunslingers, right? Because you use the spatula to make the blade master item, the Blade of the Ruin King. He does already have 2 Lucians, and he goes for the Tristana. He's just not even looking at the voids. He's not even picking up the free roll casting or the Rek'Sai. He is looking at the Blade Master gunslingers, which is fair. I mean, it's fair in general, but considering how we saw gunslingers go last time, it doesn't seem like the best decision. But what's noteworthy here is that gunslingers do fall off in general. He does already have a hush, which is a key item for it. But the Blade Master item does allow the high roll ability of the gunslinger comp to actually push into the late game. So if there were an opportunity to go gunslingers, it seems like this is the one.
Picks up the Kassadin anyway. Again, maybe to block other players from those Kassadins. There are a little bit more Kassadins than a lot of other units, as it is a 1 at cost. As we moved over to Jinxed, our defending champion, finishing in 3rd place in our first lobby, and wanting to repeat that success, maybe finishing a little bit higher, sitting at 9 gold, really hoping to win this next round so he doesn't have to sell a unit. We were seeing some Knights. We're also seeing some Blade Masters and some Kassadins as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, the voids are good even outside of Void Assassins. Like, you can still just run a good old fashioned Void Sork, or just have 3 voids and it be all right. And you also get to block the Void Assassin player if it exists. So, like, it's a free roll. It's not costing you economy. I think people are going to lean more towards cutting voids.
Yeah, and so let's see again as we go through these what are some it seems like it's very common to see these players pick up Knights, pick up just 1-cost units. Again, when you refund these units, you're always going to get the same amount of gold back. So you can pick up a Kassadin at the end of a round just to make sure someone else doesn't get it and then sell it back a little bit later. But what are some common openings that we see that can easily transition into other comps? Because we see a Shyvana and a Nidalee and Elise here to get some shapeshifters. How do you transition into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this comp, it does have the shapeshifter synergy. Usually not that great this early in the game because it's so tough, but because 3 of Rayditz units are tier 2, it could still work out. If he does get that Shyvana to transform, which doesn't look like it's going to, still could be good here. The Nidalee with the GA as well is also going to be super strong, and it does look like he's going to be able to finish off here. I think a lot of times I have found myself in this position with a build similar to this, with the 3 shapeshifters early, being like, oh, well, I've got 3 shapeshifters. Shapeshifters are good, right? They're not good if they're all level 1s because they just die before they transform, and their bonus only procs if they transform.
Yeah, and you have to get to those level 2. I think Shyvana is, one of the bigger baits that a lot of people get is, I feel like my level 1 Shyvana like never transforms because it's melee to start. It doesn't have a ton of HP to start with either, and unless no one is focusing that Shyvana is probably not going to transform and get the buff. And Elise and Nidalee early on, particularly Nidalee, can be good early, but is it going to be enough to get you on that win streak, which is what you want? You want to get that money. You want to get to 50 gold. You want to be able to roll a little bit higher. And, some shapeshifter players are starting to high roll a little bit to get that level 3 Nidalee if no one else is looking for it. We did see Sphinx grab that level 3 Nidalee, and I think it helped him carry through the whole game almost. He did win that last lobby. As these team comps are starting to show themselves here. We're still on Rayditz. Now let's look at Kymzi, who is going a little bit on the demon route here. We might be seeing a Knights Rangers comp with currently with some demons, because that's something that you see early on with these. But the hard part here is I feel for Kymzi, because Varus is a unit that I can never find. And I think it's a curse, especially if you have the Varus and you don't have any other ones. It's like a curse to build the item, because you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to go Rangers. I'm going to go ahead and plop this item on this Varus, and another one never shows up.
Well, if you're never seeing a demon, is it more of a blessing than a curse? I don't know. But no, I feel you there. I do think these are the two rangers that you don't want, right? Like you ideally, I mean, obviously you need all four if you're going to run 4 rangers, but ideally you want Ashe and Kindred as your 2 rangers because they just synergize so well and they're just stronger overall. The problem, of course, being that they cost 3 and 4 gold respectively. So, I mean, this is a good start. I mean, Knights Rangers is such a good, just such a good starting comp, and it does transition into the mid and late game well. As well, and this I feel like we might be seeing a theme here with Azcryte. It's just play the units you have and don't care about your synergies, as we see the good old fashioned classic 0 synergies build.
The good old-fashioned 0 synergy build. So Rayditz, again, with those shapeshifters, is going to go ahead and stack that in Nidalee. That's a good choice. Nidalee seems to be the beefiest of the shapeshifters earliest on. That definitely turns into Shyvana as we head into late game. And we're seeing it right here. The Shyvana is front line. And so if there's a Kassadin on the other side, if there's anyone with burst, and Jace can really mess with the Shyvana as well. You're not going to get him to transform, but now it's going to be all up to the last remaining. And the heal from the Nidalee is not going to be enough to keep the Elise up because the Kassadin was able to bring him down. But will this Nidalee be able to take
Nidalee still wins here. Nidalee still wins here because he still has a GA proc. Well, I may have spoken.
Shenalt, though. Yeah, the Shenalt with the GA as well. And we get into Earth mode, and Rayditz is going to fall. Jinxed will find that victory. But the good thing about Rayditz is he's got some money. He's got some moolah to work with. He can go to Vegas and bet it all on black. But instead, he's going to position correctly for Krugs. He's going to keep his 4 units. And it's just frustrating because it always feels like the game puts you at like 39, right? Or 29 or 9 gold before these NPC rounds, because these NPC rounds is free interest. It's free money when you win them.
Yeah, it is. Man, I almost feel like I would rather have Jason than Shyvana for Rayditz, but he's in second place so far. Azcryte here again with the still rocking the 0 synergies.
He got some Knights. He got some Knights.
Oh, did he get Knights? Okay,
yeah. There we go. Here we go, Azcryte. You got it.
Yes. But I mean, this is a common thing we see, right? Because it doesn't look like right now that the Kassadin is going to be making it necessarily into the final build. So you just put your items on the Kassadin because you're probably going to sell it anyway. It allows you to move that Guardian Angel to something else later in the game. But his items looking a little bit weird there. But we do move over to Zeus, who looks like he again is rocking the Void Assassins, but doesn't have any of the components that he needs for the Youmuu's Ghostblade. So he's going to have to keep losing to get first pick on the carousel, then also get lucky that the carousel shows up, or that the special shows up in the carousel, and then also gets lucky that no one else wants the carousel and it comes up on his side. So, and that's only half of the items that he needs. So this is a precarious spot for Zeus for sure.
Well, and he definitely wants to be on the lower end of the standings here. He did put a Warmogs on the cast, and I actually like that because the shield goes on, so it gives you a little bit of time to regen some of that health. But it's not going to be enough here. He's got to get that assassin.
Wait.
Oh, he's got the Rage Blade. It's interesting. There's no way he's going to survive this time around.
There
takes a lot of damage too.
Yeah, that is the tough part of getting to that point in the game. It can be tough because you do, like right now we're starting to get to the point where builds are starting to come together and people are going to start chunking you pretty hard. But Sphinxy boy looks like he's running gunslingers here, and he's not stopping the rolling. Looking like he's going for a tier 3 Graves here. He's 1 off actually, and 2 off of a tier 3 Shyvana. Or sorry, Tristana. I keep saying Tristana, Shyvana.
Yeah, Sphinx, Jinx,
don't you wanna?
Tristana, Shyvana. Yeah, you're a poet and didn't even know it, Blev. And it's exciting to see Sphinx play something else, because something that you can could see in some other tournaments is a player finds success
in my
with a certain
personal
kind
games.
of build. a player finds success with some other builds, and they just continue on with the consistency, right? It's easier to go with what you know rather than to adjust. But Sphinxy Boy at the our defending lobby winner is going Gunslingers instead, and is doing a pretty good job at fighting those characters. It's required that your tier, your level 1 units, your Tristanas, your Graves, do make it into that gold territory, that you do finish off that level 3 unit, or else they're going to be too squishy. They're going to be a vulnerability for you. As we still look at Rayditz, who's found himself sitting in second place still. Faye is in first place with 100 HP still. There's a reason why we call her the queen.
It's true. It's because she takes Riot's own strategy and advice of, if you want to have more gold next round, try winning. So she has not stopped for 7 whole rounds.
And so that's max interest going over Faye's way. And it's actually really interesting how this has been able to be accomplished, because when you look at her board, you might not necessarily say, oh, this board is super threatening because there's a lot of rank 1 units, and not a ton of items, and she might be losing her win streak here. But in the end, I think with these tier 1 units, she did a really good job. I may have spoken a little too soon.
Caster cursed.
But
Caster cursed.
I shouldn't have said it. That is like something I, at this point, are betting 100 on. When I say someone hasn't lost yet, they will lose that next round. I'm sorry about that, Faye. I will take that hit for you. But we've got a new first place in the lobby. It's going to be Rayditz at 92. And looking at the very bottom, it's Kymzi. And these players on the bottom 4 really need to decide exactly how they want to try to overcome this. This is when Faye really, on the last round, transitioned, right? This is where Crowin and a lot of other tournaments would transition into a comp that starts winning. And these players need to figure out what they're going to run and how they're going to do it successfully.
Of note here, Zeus did not end up in the bottom, so didn't get first pick. So did not get the spatula that he was maybe looking. Our boy Sphinxy Boy actually did get the spatula, which again in the Gunslingers comp is part of that equation, because you make the Gunslingers a blade master as well, and can really transition into the late game potentially. Unless, oh no, is he doing it? No, there's no way he's doing the Graves Assassin. There's no way. No, he's probably going for a Guardian Angel. He's going with the Graves tank, I think, with the Redemption, and potentially looking for a Guardian Angel.
He does have a little bit more armor than he used to from back in the day. And the thing about Sphinx here in any high roll comp is you're going to be under leveled versus some other players, right? The good news for him is he's going up against someone else who is level 5 on a comp that he should counter as well. The Pike ult not doing what Zeus needed there, as his level 3 Graves is going to be too much to overcome, and Sphinx will be the better level 5 player this time around. So what's next for Sphinx? He's got his Graves. He's one away from his Tristana. What's next?
He actually got rid of Lucian's, it looks like. No, okay, he's got a Jinx. Yeah, he obviously wants another Tristana. Okay, he does have Lucian. He wants probably a Shen or another Blade Master. He wants another Blade Master, right? Probably not Draven, because the naked Draven is not super great. Shen is a pretty good one. Obviously, if he got a Yasuo, but that's pretty far off, that would probably be the ideal one. You want to be able to put in the Gangplank and another Blade Master, turn probably your tier 3 Tristana into a Blade Master, and then you've got 4 Gunslingers, 3 Blade Masters, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed this, but he did pass on a Gangplank. I wonder if that was on purpose or not. The Jinx, though, is going to go ahead and get excited and get a victory over Faye. So Sphinx starting his win streak here. This is exactly when he wanted to do it. And this is really good for him because, again, these Gunslingers have a very limited amount of time to be successful in these games. As we see Rayditz, who hasn't lost since the last time we checked in on him. But this time around, the casting is going to be too much. And we're seeing Zeus kind of bring it back up again. So we still have Kymzi on the bottom, but at the top, Rayditz at 85. This lobby a little bit closer than the last one.
Yeah, we're seeing a nice spread here. I mean, from first to last is still about the same, 40 or 50 points of life here, but between, I mean, even in 7th place, we got 51 to 85, not a huge spread, and everything else in between that is very, very close. So we take out the outliers, and we're at under 20 health points difference here, which is definitely a good spot to be in for a lot of these comps. I think we're going to start seeing, especially after this round, we're going to start seeing comps really solidify here. And I almost reverse caster cursed because I was going to say, man, I don't think we're going to see anything loose here. But Asol, he's got a little cold. he sneezed all over those wolves in one shot.
Yeah, those wolves did not take their flu shot. By the way, everyone at home, it is flu season. Go ahead and take those flu shots. So the other thing here I want to bring back to you is, remember what I said about Varus earlier?
I sure do remember what you said about Varus earlier.
Yeah, and it is ringing true right here, right now. Still level 1 at Varus. Needs to find another one. I don't really see anyone else running the Varus, so I don't necessarily see where these other viruses are. Just maybe some unlucky RNG from Kymzi. Is we're going to go ahead and throw in some Yordles. We got Poppy in there. We still have those demons. So why take out those units for some 1-cost?
Well, I think what Kymzi is doing, especially since she built the Yuumi here, she's going to be looking to go the sorcerer route, potentially going for 6 sorcerers. And with that build, you don't necessarily want it doesn't look like she's going to be going Rangers, just wants the Varus for Demon. And if you're not going the Rangers, you don't necessarily need the Kindred. And if you're not going the Kindred, you don't necessarily want the Mord. But if you don't have that level 2 Mord, you want to have a tank line, which a single Poppy and a Kennen with Yordle buff is a pretty fine tank line. Probably wants to grab a Brand at some point to pair with that Kennen, and maybe another Elementalist to get that Elementalist buff. But speaking of which, Rayditz actually has his Elementalist buff. No, he doesn't. He just has an Elementalist in. But a really strong position here for Rayditz in first place, just getting that tier 2 Brand.
Redemption goes through, saves Elise's life, able to get that Elise to transform, but now we're seeing all of the ults go through. That Gnar ult was pretty huge, but this Nidalee is huge herself. Could still go either way. I
mean, it could, but this is that point where you can't kill this Shyvana. It's just not going to happen. I'll take a possibility at caster curse. Yeah, the Shyvana says no. Look at my items. You're not killing me. I don't care. What is this?
Only level 1 though.
True. But even so, even for my personal playing, it's just so hard to kill that Shyvana with a Warmogs, especially with a GA for backup as well.
You were like, it could. Yes, that's a thing. That is a statement.
Technically, the game code allows it to happen, but it is not going to happen here. But what is going to happen here is we're going to get Angry Dwarf with the 500-bit donation, cheering all 500 of those bits. Guys, make sure you do get your bits in here. All of these bits support the community here, the players, the cast and crew here for Fight Night. Make sure you get them in. And my personal preference here is, if you're going to donate bits, get some copy pasta. I want to see some copy pasta spam in here. We had some great copy pasta earlier from Boxwine. Let's keep it coming.
Yeah, we're here to have fun, guys. Throw it out there, make us laugh, get us off of our game. It's up to you. That's what Twitch chat is for. Anyway, so Alex, you're right. You got to get that pasta, even if hey, if you can't eat gluten, it could be gluten-free pasta as well. Gluten-free copy pasta is welcome here.
That is true, and we have just hit 20% towards our goal. So guys, we are almost halfway done with Fight Night. So let's amp it up a little bit, unless you guys are sandbagging us. I don't like the sandbags though. I want it to be a nice clip going. Let's keep them coming. I don't want them all at the end, because then you guys forget. I want them now. Get them in early and often. That's what I want. Speaking of early and often, it looks like Sphinx has actually been doing some losing early and often, as he is actually down to 14 health. Sphinxy boy, what's happened?
Sphinxy boy. remember too when I was like, "Hey, Sphinx might have won the last lobby, but he might find himself at the bottom on the next one." And look at this too, level 5. That's it. Trying his best with just 5 units.
Yeah.
No money.
2 of which are level 1 and 2 of which are level 3.
What a I used hodgepodge earlier. This is a true smorgasbord of odd on his board. Well, actually, not a smorgasbord because there's only 5 of them, right? It's more of a hodgepodge.
It is a hodgepodge of weird. I want to know how many games at stage 4-4 do we have? Not only we have more tier 3 and tier 1 units than tier 2. That's got to be like a 1% game, and of course, Sphinx is the one to do it. Speaking of 1%. We've got 101% cheered in the chat from Admiral John, who says gluten-free copy pasta, which is pretty much a copy pasta in and of itself at this point.
Full disclosure, Admiral John and I are very close. I am married to that person. So thank you. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it.
There you go.
I don't know if I had to say it, but I appreciate John. I appreciate it. But thanks for the bits. I cannot eat gluten myself. I have the allergy. So that comes from the heart. This is again an all-inclusive.
The gluten allergy comes from the heart. I didn't know that.
Well, really, it's just killing my intestines. But because the copy pasta is gluten-free, I can have it. But now that we're on a Jinxed side. Let's go ahead.
Before we talk about that, notably here, Kymzi was our first player eliminated here. She did not survive round 4-4.
Doesn't survive. Bum, bum, bum. Anyway, so Sphinx at 14 health also might get eliminated here soon. And this lobby, I just it feels closer than the last one.
It does.
The last lobby had like an obvious top 2 the whole time. That was Sphinx and Jinxed with Faye coming in a little while later. But this time around, look at this: 69 at the top, nice. 14 at the bottom. But from 58 to 14, again, it could be anyone's game. Sphinx has won 2 in a row. He's pretty much got to win out at this point in time. Yep. Still level 5. By the way, I don't think I've ever seen this, but he's got the tier 3 units and all of the items there. And the big part about this is that he's also got the Blade Master buff on the Graves and the Tristana.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, where he wanted to be. Like it doesn't really get better than this. This is the Blade Master Gunslinger comp realized. I mean, he's effectively level 6. Because he's going to auto level here, getting a little more gold to roll, I guess, for some of his units. But I mean, he's really Boop, you may have predicted this. This might just be the top of the. This might be the top of the rung here. Well, this might be the top of the rung here. Like, how good is this really? That's what I'm wondering. Like, how much better does this comp get as we go on? He's basically having to roll down here. Just to get like a playable comp.
Well, and the unfortunate thing is he really needs this Jinx, and he's only level 6.
He's 2 Jinxes.
Yeah, he needs this Jinx to carry, and at level 6, you're not going to see it as often as possible. You really want to hit that level 7, but he's got the 4 Gunslingers, he's got 3 Blade Masters. The Hex Tech will save him with a good cancellation of those items. Who's it going to hit this time? It's going to be the Jace in the back. That is worst case scenario for that Hex Tech, but the damage is still there. The Swordbreaker is still there. Redemption as well, going to help that Grave stay alive, but this is looking like the end. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. The Tristana's still alive as well. Look at the comeback. Wow.
But okay. I was gonna, I was gonna caster curse and say that reverse caster curse and say that you can't kill that Shyvana, but Sphinx would have just looked into the camera and laughed at me. But we do see another player out here, Zeus, who, be it as it may, he tried and tried again to force that Void Assassins, and it just did not come out. Zeus, our second player out in this round number 2.
I would hope that he continues on trying. Right at this point, you've got to just try. You got to force it in the second half because you might win the next 2 rounds. Right? It's all about just getting that item, and that's the thing about Void Assassins. Right? It is gambling. Right? It could work. or cannot. And so far today,
Well,
not work.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it's gambling, but in other ways, like, you probably shouldn't just force it every time. Like, my whole philosophy, memes aside, is like, there is a time and place to force it, and it's really good when you have that right time, and it's not just an auto force every time necessarily, but it certainly can be. On ladder, I think it averages probably a top 4 or better most of the time.
And Faye is going strong still at 58. Remember, that is the queen. Has never finished below 3rd place in any of these fight nights. Also helps out with the lobby, invites everyone. So much responsibility, and yet is able to handle every single aspect of the job.
That's not surprising at all. I mean, Uncle Ben let us know, with great power comes great responsibility. It doesn't have to be, with great responsibility, therefore comes great power. So take on more responsibility and you'll just be stronger. But speaking of great power, our boy Sphinxy on a 4-game win streak here, looking pretty even right now.
I wonder if he's going to be able to come back this time around. No. Made it interesting, though. Finishes in a 6th place. Unable to repeat the success from that first lobby. So no more Sphinxy boy. For the time being, he's going to have to watch his friends play out this lobby. But it was entertaining. It was really cool to see how that worked. That's not something that logically, I think, right? Your brain says, oh, wow. I mean, he's under-leveled. He's 2 levels below some of these players, and yet was still competitive. He got the RG he needed with the sword breaker, but in the end, just couldn't finish it out. But
yeah,
we still got a close lobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the difference between that Hyper Roll comp and Void Assassins, right? Once you get online, so to speak, with Void Assassins, like, you cruise. Like, you don't need to you will win the rest of the games, or you can at least. Where Gunslingers, it seemed like it was really way too close, and depending on how much life you lose in the beginning, like, maybe like he was just a little bit off, right? Like, he was like a little bit of economy behind, and he had a little bit too much damage taken earlier on. So really unfortunate there for Sphinx, but we are on the bubble here, and 2 players potentially looking at elimination in Kladeous and Jinxed here as we go into this next round. And are they playing again? They're playing against each other here. So
someone's probably getting eliminated here.
The heads up for points here.
The rank 3 shed with the Infinity Edge. We were victimized by that in one of our game nights to a friend of ours, Osto, and it looks like Kladeous is going to find himself in 5th place again. That is 2 5th places in a row for Kladeous. That sucks, man. That's just a feels bad if I've ever seen one. It's just all you have to do is win 1 more, but unfortunately you get countered in the matchup that you have, as we see Faye going through once again. Nice ASL seems to favor those dragons and that ASL with those shapeshifters. We got a couple more elementals. We have some Yordles in the mix. This comp is just so strong, and you've got the TF to get those ults off even more and faster, so those shapeshifters can just get going. And it's going to be hard if you have magic damage on the other side. Faye is going to beat you.
Yeah, I mean, this is essentially a very similar, if not the same, comp that she ran last time. Very strong. The dragon shapeshifter, got Yordles this time as well. Like, very, very strong. And I mean, I don't see the same sort of contest here from the other players. We don't see Sphinx and also Jinxed here, with 2 comparable builds. We see very different builds, and it's looking like those builds are not quite up to snuff with what Faye is providing, as we see Jinxed get eliminated here in 4th place.
Yeah, I think the big thing to think about is last lobby, everyone had ASOL, right? You were even saying, well, since everyone has ASOL, drop the ASOL. You need something else, right? Everyone's got that dragon buff. Some people have got dragon claw. It's not going to be worth it to keep throwing your voice of light, or as you like to say, your spit/vomit onto the rest of the team.
It's a sneeze, okay? Let's not be gross here. It's a sneeze.
Let's not be gross as the sneeze goes on into everybody. There's nothing, man, getting sneezed on is just the worst. There's like an inner rage that happens when it happens.
It's true. That's why you have to build your salad bar sneeze guard, aka Dragon's Claw. It prevents you from getting sneezed on.
Next time I'm at Ruby Tuesdays, I will look at the salad bar and say, "Man, it's got Dragon's Claw. I gotta build some Rangers." But too bad there's some glacial there as well. Anyway, because the lettuce is. I don't know if
today's Fight Night brought to you by Ruby Tuesdays. Apparently,
hashtag
of all the restaurants to bring up.
Today's
Fight Night's not actually brought to you by Ruby Tuesdays.
Not a lot of gluten-free options there, but anyway.
Well, I'm boycotting them.
Yeah, you should. You should. We also in the middle of our Ruby Tuesdays shenanigans, we did have someone drop out. So we're at the top 2, and they're pretty close, separated by 9 HP. Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Faye, or it's going to be Rayditz.
And I don't want to, necessarily point out a pattern here, but we are seeing Asol, Gnar, Shyvana, and actually Twisted Fate. The Twisted Fate, I don't think, was in both of the last comps at the end, but we're seeing, we are seeing a lot of Asol and a lot of shifters here.
So why position this way from Rayditz? Why is everyone just sitting in the corner versus a similar kind of comp with Faye?
I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure if I like this positioning, and it's looking like Rayditz is actually switching. I think you want to spread out for 2 reasons. You don't want everyone in your comp to get caught by the Gnar jump, and you also don't want to be in a nice straight line for Asol sneezes. You want to spread out as much as you can. He does want to catch as many units as he can with the Morgana ult. Which is why he's positioning her in the middle. And it's looking like a pretty big Morgana ult, potentially not big enough. Well, cast or curse. Never mind.
Well,
big enough.
If you squeak more, the game will extend. So you just gotta, quality stuff right there, man. That's textbook casting.
And textbook casting and textbook donations coming in from
this is a good one. I've seen this.
Animated Suchan with a great copy pasta here. Definitely check it out in the chat. I'm not going to read that just because I do. We got to talk about some TFT, but a great copy pasta and has the bonus bits from Subway as well. So thank you for the 1,000 bits here. We're getting ever closer. We're not 30% towards our goal here. Keep the copy pastas coming in, guys and gals. It is we've still got a lot of TFT to cast tonight.
This has been a really close game so far. The top 2 have been battling out for a couple rounds, and it's going to continue to go through as the TF is going to get the mana card that helps him out, and Rayditz will fall a little further. Faye did suffer a loss a little earlier, but Rayditz is down to potentially 1 more fight. We got some items. We got a hush on. We got a rapid fire cannon, which might be nice for Faye because there are some Yordles on the other side.
Yeah, the rapid fire cannon is going to be big for Faye. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that maybe there's some power level differences in terms of tier units, but the comps are very similar. The exception being that Rayditz actually has demon buff, 4 demon buff, which is going to be really powerful generally against shapeshifters, but it doesn't look like it's proccing enough, interestingly. And it's also seeming like, we also see 6 sorcerer bonus for Rayditz as well, which again, with when the key of your comp is going to be the Shyvana and the Asol, I'm not a huge fan of the sorcerer, but I guess it is a little bit late for that now. We're just going to have to see how this plays out for Rayditz.
We got spit flying everywhere. We've got units flying because of that Gnar. Mega Gnar comes through, and I think that's going to be it for us as Faye comes out on top. The Queen continues the streak.
Yes, the Queen sits atop her throne and takes out another lobby, getting 3 more points in addition to the 1 from last game. So in just a second here, we're going to see the points breakdown for these players, but we saw a different lobby here, Boop. We didn't see 3 people forcing
we sure did.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's also interesting is at the end it wasn't that different. right? The strongest
Right.
comps still survived through the end. Gunslingers, we saw Sphinx try it. We saw 3 people try it last lobby, but unfortunately, none of them making it into top 4. And so maybe it's time to try to think a little bit traditional. Something that we haven't seen at all is Elemental Ranger Glacial, something that we saw a ton of in the Omega Esports League a couple weeks ago. And that was Ash was probably the most winningest character in that tournament. We haven't seen Ash at all today. It's been all Asol and Shapeshifters and Shyvanas all the time. As look at this, Faye, the only one to be consistent throughout this tournament so far. 7 points, a 3-point lead going into the last 2 lobbies. In second place, it's going to be a tie between Sphinx and Rayditz. That win will carry him to that second place. And then in fourth place will be Jinxed with 3. Azcryte still in this, and it still can be anyone's game. Sphinx has only won 1 game, and he finds himself in second. So if you find that lobby win, you can still find yourself in that top 3.
Yeah, I mean, every game counts here. We're still, no one is mathematically eliminated. No one is mathematically in the top yet. So we're just half of the way through here now. As we are going into our break here for just a few minutes. Make sure you stick around because we're going to be coming back with even more TFT for HeroesHearth Fight Night. Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of the HeroesHearth Fight Night here. If you haven't seen us already, we are Blevins and Boop, and we are going to be bringing you all the action here as we get into our second half here for the HeroesHearth Fight Night. Boop, we saw a tale of two lobbies here
with the same ending.
With the same ending, yes. Right? You thought you were seeing two different movies, but then they just clipped in the same ending. It's like we have all this old Godzilla footage. Let's just clip in some different. There's a Twisted Fate in this one. Yeah, just add him in.
It's like in Star Wars where they like digitally recreated Princess Leia, right?
Yes.
That's kind of what happened this time around. It's just so for the folks at home who don't know what we're saying is we saw two different lobbies. One with a lot of gunslingers, one with a lot of not gunslingers. But in the end, the top two players are both running Asol and Dragon as shapeshifters. One, though, had a Twisted Fate, and that was the one that ended up winning it out. And that was our Queen Faye, who's sitting on top of the standings with 7 points and has a 3-point lead over the rest of the field, which is Sphinx and Jinxed, I believe. And so,
Rayditz is actually in third place here with 3 points, and Jinxed in fourth. Or no, Azcryte. No. Okay. Yeah.
It's on the screen. See it here. Yeah. Rayditz. There it is. And so, so Rayditz is in that fourth as well. And I also want your eyes to Kladeous, who, Jules said this a little earlier. I want to bring it on cast. The bridesmaid of today so far, 2 fifth place finishes. And the reason why we call him that is because everything from 5th to 8th gets 0 points. First place gets 4, second 3, third 2, fourth 1. And by the end of the 4th round, we will have a winner of this TFT Fight Night, and it's been a good couple lobbies so far. I'm hoping to see something different from a winning comp because this Asol has just been so popular so far, and the Dragon's Claw, it's pretty much taken sorcerers out of this game. The game is about to start, so when we come into this lobby, I just kind of want to see. We haven't seen any glacials. We haven't seen anyone go hard Yordles, right? Thank goodness, because Yordles are the spawn of Satan. And it's pretty much been status quo once we get to the top 2. Everything before that has been some experimentation, but the experimentation has ended in disaster for a lot of our players.
Yeah, we've seen Zeus, who has tried to force the Void Assassins, has not got there. We saw Sinksy Boy last round get a pretty complete Blade Master gunslinger force that just did not pan out when it came to the big Shyvanas and Asol comp. So we're gonna have to wait and see how the lobby goes here. But Boop, do you know what I want to see this lobby like more than anything else? It's more bits in the chat and more copy pastas. We saw a big 100 bits from Costanza OW with a great Tiny Tots program copy pasta. Let's see more here as we are just over 30% of our goal here for bounty. And guys, if you're just joining in here, I know we got a big raid while we were on a break. All of the bits in tonight's broadcast are going back into the community, 60% of which is going to the players, the other 40 going to cast and crew, and the bounty for the players. So any and all bits and copy pastas are going directly to the production here, as we see 3 players going after that early spatula. And it looks like Jinx, our defending champion here, did get the spatula. So is he going to move in?
Well, the question really is, now that Zeus does not have the spatula, is he going to continue on with this Kassadin build? That is,
my guess is absolutely yes, because it did not deter him even a little bit before.
And so, all right. Okay, Admiral John. I don't know if I can say this, but for the community, for the bits, because all of you know I'm lying. I just want to put that out there.
He's not
Yordles are the best. Yordles are the best comp. Everything about it is fun and interactive, and I'm so happy that they're in this game. But my question to you is, Kymzi is from the UK, right?
Yes.
My question is, do Yordles in the UK have a different accent than Yordles on other servers?
I don't think I even want to dignify that with a discussion or response here, but, I don't have to, because Admiral John did keep his promise, and we got a PogChamp 100 bits.
Yep, he is sleeping on the couch tonight. And so now, now let's go ahead and transition into this game. So anyway, so we got some Castins, we got some Pikes on the bench here for Rayditz, who is doing pretty well so far in these lobbies. This is the third lobby, so this is make it or break it for a lot of those players who have not been able to make any get any points so far.
Yeah, this is, pretty standard opening, picking up some nobles, picking up a couple voids, knights. It's really open here. It's tough to make any sort of real predictions here. Although I know I personally would be going in for that gangplank early, just because I'm a filthy degenerate. And I like pirates and gold early, even if it means I lose. Also, Gangplank has the best beard in TFT right now, and if you can't tell, I'm a beard enthusiast myself. So give me some Gangplank, give me some pirates early, and it looks like, I don't want to say it looks like Queen Faye also agrees that the Gangplank is a great unit early.
Well, if the Queen says it, I guess it could be true.
The Queen doth declare that Gangplank is the best unit in the game.
Man,
that was actually a British Yordle, by the way, in case you're.
Oh, okay. That's what British Yordles. That's what British Yordles sound like.
Yes,
apparently.
that was the British Poppy.
That's what Poppy sounds like.
No,
that's interesting.
I could do the British Poppy voice, but until we hit 50% of our goal, I'm going to keep that one a secret.
I love it.
Bounty. Also, it would probably blow out everyone's ears, but we're seeing. We're seeing Kladeous here picking up some voids, as well as a level 2 Mord, which she's not putting in, which makes me think lose streak. Gotta be. This is not the best comp he could have right now. His units are positioned in a poor way. This is looking like Kladeous is absolutely open forwarding / lose streaking here.
Look at how big that Garen is compared to everyone else on Kladeous's bench and board. So again, Kladeous has finished 5th a couple times. I believe when we were casting him in a tournament a little while back, he was a pretty consistent assassin player. And so I'm wondering if that's what he is going for. He's got a couple of the units, unfortunately, unable to find the level 2s for it. He doesn't have the sword. He doesn't have the spatch. What is he gonna? He does have a good little legend, though.
He has a great little legend. I would consider the what's it called, the Shisa. I think that's a solid A tier little legend.
Yeah, everything below the Hushtail though.
Yeah, certainly everything below. I think you can put the Shisa. Personally, for me, I like the little pig. I think it's the Fuwa.
Yeah, it's like the Eeyore.
The Eeyore one, and I also like the penguin as well. Those are all A tier for me. Everything else is below that.
Even the Damasian Silver Ring with the dab.
No, the dab.
The dab is the penguin.
The silver wing is the most annoying sound known to man. The squeaking that one is awful for sure. It is just terrible.
You and that Silverwing have some. Then, as we go back into this board here, we've got full boards everywhere. So there's a lot of money on Sphinx's board. Still hasn't decided what he wants, other than the fact that he's got a Bloodthirster and a Rapid Fire Cannon on his rank 2 cast.
Guarantee you Sphinx is trolling right now because he just wants to go Knights Rangers and have a level 2 Kassadin. If you guys were listening in the earlier, that was a troll that Sphinx did to me personally in a game that we were playing, and I feel like he's trying to make that happen because he can actually just sell the Kassadin later because these are good Draven items potentially, or even potentially like Ashe items, or they're good 80 carry items. So having them on the Kassadin is also not bad. But I think he might be trolling me personally. But who knows?
Well, the thing about these items specifically and Kassadin as a unit is this should be able to bring him at least to Krugs and potentially further just with those items and those units. It's not 100% necessary that Kassadin be an assassin all of the time, like you mentioned, because it can transition to other builds. And so, did he make it a knight in that Knights Rangers, or was it just like a Kassadin just like hanging out?
No, it was just there. It made no sense when we were playing. It was just to troll me because he knew I was going Void Assassin.
Cool. Well, I like the way he thinks. Your reactions are part of the reason why we do it so often. But again, not a lot of glacials. Not a lot. I mean, it's hard to find them this early on. Glacial is something you kind of transition into, but it doesn't look to me that people are trying to go after it. Maybe other than a Sphinx boy. If he decides to use that Mord and then find that Kindred a little while later, because that Phantom buff is a tide turner, especially late game, along with that ultimate. And now that we're starting to see some things develop, Krugs is kind of when we see some of the first players get to those team comps, and it looks like Zeus still tried with some voids.
Yeah, I mean, we called it. He absolutely is still going for it. He's not going for the strict hyper roll, aggressive rolling Void Assassins. But again, like we said before, like the Void core can be built into a number of different things that can be good. So not super surprised here. I mean, if you pick up the units, like run the ones that are the best for you. And it's looking like, at least so far, it is keeping him at a healthy life total and a nice 2-win streak here for him.
Yeah, still has that Void buff, which is so strong. Will be changing here in a couple days. But as of right now, every one of those Voids finding that true damage, hovering over that pike, deciding if he wants to get that interest, decides to stay at 18 gold, gets a couple more assassins. Kymzi, who has found herself at the bottom side of the last couple lobbies, now doing a little bit better job this time around, has some good units, has 4 knights already, so it's going to be pretty hard to break through that. This 4th knight might be what she needs to overcome that last loss. Was the only loss so far was to Sphinx a little earlier, so this is going to be a beefy lineup. Has a very early Ashe as well.
Yeah, early Ashe is great. I mean, this is like the type of start you want for a Knights Rangers comp, and especially considering just the way that the comps, the builds have gone in this lobby before. Like, we could see a tier 3 Ashe happen. No one has been running Ashe in this lobby in the last 2 games. So if you get the early Ashe and then just run it, like you can potentially get tier 3. So you can get tier 3 of all 4 Rangers, honestly. And that is going to be, even against these big Shyvana comps, it's just not going to be strong enough, because if you're the only one running Rangers, even if there's a strong Shyvana comp, like if there's 2 people running it, it's just going to be worse by default.
And Ashe is one of those counters to Shyvana. It's hard for her to get it done if she's frozen, and we do have the score coming back up again. So we have reached the second half of these games. We are currently in round 3 with Faye with a pretty big lead so far. Those 3 points will probably carry her at least until round 4. And actually, in both the lobbies so far, the only one I think to to get as many points. Yeah, she's in the first place, but Jinx finding a couple points in each round. Rayditz finding a couple. Those have been the most consistent so far. And the Matlaw, thanks for the subscription. We really appreciate it. Happy September. And Shazam, underrated superhero movie, if I say so myself.
I didn't end up seeing it, but I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good popcorn flick. I enjoyed it. 2 spatches though for Jinx. I wonder where that's going to be going. No sword though for that cast. It doesn't have any of the other voids. I wonder if the force of nature might be coming through.
I mean, I know can we just not see his items on his units, or does he really just have nothing right now? Like this is. No, he just has nothing, so...
He's got a ton of gold, so I'm assuming that he got a lot of gold early on.
Yep, got a ton of gold, and yeah, he's just opting for the second unit, or the extra unit here, and... Oh, man, this is a tough spot, potentially. I mean, the Force of Nature, while an all-right option, obviously having an extra unit is good. I mean, it can enable a lot of things, but it's tough. It's tough to really utilize, and I think in a lot of cases you'd rather have 2 sort of spatula items rather than just the Force of Nature.
He's trying to start that win streak again. He's still sitting at the top of the lobby, so what he's been doing has been working out so far, and he's going to have a man advantage for a pretty long time, as a lot of these players have just leveled up. So he will have an extra person, he will have some extra units, and he's going to be doing a lot of damage going through. So I think the best thing he could do here would be to develop a lead that's a little bit too hard to overcome to secure him that top 4, and then try to battle for that top spot a little later on. And it seems to be working out for him so far. Sphinxy Boy finds himself on fire. But Zeus on the bottom side once again, this time still looking for those voids, still has those assassins, still not a sword or spatula in sight.
Yeah. It's a tough spot to be. He does have the Rengar as well, but this isn't even really looking like a Rengar comp, because you don't necessarily want the voids in that. Yeah, this just looks like a standard sort of assassins game with void as well. It's tough. I mean, you can certainly stack your Kha'Zix, right? Like, he is a void assassin, not going to be as strong as having the Caston as an assassin, but the stacked Kha'Zix is certainly good. And is this Lucian going to hyper carry him in 2 or 3v1?
It might be able to do just that. This Rengar is not going to be able to get another ultimate off, so that's brutal loss for Zeus, especially when you're like assuming that you might win, but maybe he wants to lose. He's got to find that spatula, and then he's got to find another sword. It's going to come down to wolves. If he doesn't find either of those items, then it's going to be another 7th, 8th place for him, most likely.
Yeah, it is definitely it's a tough spot for him, because it doesn't really seem like he maximized towards one side or the other. Like, he didn't lose out early because he wasn't even first pick at the last carousel, because he could have gotten a spatula if he was. He's at roughly the health you would be at on the low end coming into wolves. You're usually like, I usually use 50 HP as sort of the barrier of, like, if I'm at 50, okay, I'm on the low end, but I'm not super low. If I'm under 50 at wolves, then I'm really starting to worry here. So he's on pace to be just about around 50 on wolves, which honestly is not a bad spot to be, but for void assassins, that's just not where you're usually at. If you want to maximize your chances at getting the Yumu's Ghostblade on the Kassadin.
And so he's going to be searching for that spatula. He isn't going to be picking first, I believe.
Miss. Nope, he's second. No, he's second pick.
There is a sword, though, so he's potentially going to be going for that Shyvana. Kladeous was, I think, going assassins as well a little earlier, going to go ahead and pick up that recurve bow. If he goes for that sword, we know exactly what he's trying to do. Yes, he's just going to hope for a spatula come wolves.
Yep, got to hope for the spatula, and I mean, he can get it on wolves, and then he's still got another carousel potentially. The problem here is that you can't really afford to purposely tank at this point in the game, because you're going to start taking too much damage. If he gets the spatula item at the next carousel, but he's at like 10 HP, it's potentially not going to be enough.
Well, we're going to see some items go on to this cannon, and this Draven already has the rapid fire cannon and a Bloodthirster. That's exactly what you want on that unit. Does not have the Blade Master buff just yet, and we have a lot of level 1 units on the board. We do have the Elemental buff, which is really good at this point in the game, especially if it's able to take a lot of that aggro away, and it's doing just that. Unfortunately for the Lissandra, though, the Jace is going to knock her out and take her down. The Golem is not going to last much longer. This Draven's going to have to do some work.
Yeah, I mean, no. Yeah, wow. The level 1 Draven with no Blade Master buff is just like, even with those two like ideal items for him, it's just not going to be enough to really get him to that hyper carry status. He needs to either be level 2, or maybe if he had a Rage Blade, it would be closer. Or if he hit, like, there's just a number of things that are going wrong for him. And I think as we see, Rayditz realizes that and sees that just does not have the what he needs for Draven there. It's honestly possible that Draven was just a placeholder for an Ashe anyhow. Ashe seems to slot in perfectly here with another Ranger and the Glacial buff as well.
And we're finally seeing it. We haven't seen this comp all day today, which is actually pretty crazy to me because it was so popular. Ashe was the most contested in a lot of other tournaments, but this time around, it's been that Shyvana, it's been that Aesol, good Phantom proc onto the brand. It looks like he may be able to get that ult off. It's up to Sejuani to get that Glacier out of her. But no, it's not going to happen. Nice Kindred ult as well. And we have 2 players this time around going that Ranger comp. And we're seeing Glacial and the power of it right here and right now. But I'm going to give it to the itemized. I'm going to give it to the itemized Ashe, even though the redemption comes through. It could be. It could be.
It's going to depend.
No.
Yeah, it was really going to depend. It's a level 1 Ashe, so that level 2 Garen is just really strong right now, and the fact that the other Ashe was going to ult first and then start getting the glacial procs onto the like whenever Ashe gets the first glacial proc is going to win that 1v1, especially when it's 2v1. So no real surprise there. And Kymzi still rocking the four knights here, 3 of which are upgraded to level 2, and has the ideal rangers here, the glacial proc with the Sejuani and the Ashe. This is a really good spot for Kymzi moving forward.
Yeah, I was unable to find those elementals, which is the other version of this Glacial Ranger comp that we see. Knights Rangers is, I think, the simplest version of it. And then you can find yourself with like Brands and Kennons, Lissandra, and Nivea a little while later to get Shelly out, to get a little bit more Glacial procs in. But this Knights Rangers, again, solid comp, will most likely get you to a top 4 if you're able to find it. It's super important to itemize the Ashe, though, and that's starting to happen. I don't know where the Seraphs is going to go. If you're going to wait for some more items, it's a little while longer to chickens. But the big story here, I think, is the fact that number 2 has 68 health. Number 1 has 90. So this lobby is a little bit more top heavy than the other ones that we've had so far.
Yeah, Jinxed at 90 HP at the top with Azcryte down at 32 at the bottom is definitely a big discrepancy here. Notably, Jinx doesn't even have a win streak, though, so it's interesting. It's a very interesting lobby. No one has a win streak right now. So while it is a little bit top heavy, even at the top, it's been kind of back and forth a little bit at least. Yeah,
Sphinx has a Kale already at 1, so I think it's like a 2% chance at level 7, and he's going to be able to use it. And the Glacials are not going to last that much longer, as this time around the Draven is going to find himself some success. I think he does have the Blade Master proc. Kymzi's going to drop all the way down to 5th place, but that just goes to show how close everyone is from 2nd to 8th. It's a big deal here for a lot of these players, because when it's this close, it makes every loss and every win that much more important.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the point where, Faye literally at half health here, 50%, but we've seen her get down low in these early games, but actually be able to find that point, that tipping point where you're actually strong enough to start winning here. And I think that's why we saw her roll a bunch here and actually get some pretty sizable upgrades.
Yeah, she's trying to run the same comp that got her the victory the last time around. Does find the shapeshifters. The Gnar is going to be a huge deal. Gnar can ult really early on. It's up to the opponent to position correctly to try to get that Gnar out of there. Swain on the other side. These guys and girls are so good at finding these rank 5 units that take, I think, us plebs forever to find, as Faye looks like she's turning it around.
Yeah, I mean, the only I guess fear I have here for Faye is that her items are not optimal for this build, right? We don't see really any Shyvana items. We don't see any Gnar items. We see decent items for Twisted Fate, and we see an all right item for Asol with the Spear of Shojin, but like, she's only got one item on the bench, and that item does not necessarily build into a huge Shyvana item. I mean, it does build into GA, which is good, but it's, we're not seeing the Warmogs pieces. We're not seeing the Phantom Dancer. We're not seeing, a Rage Blade. So I think that she's very strong now. I'm going to be curious to see how she transitions into the late game here.
Absolutely destroyed Zeus at that moment.
Two spats.
Oh, here it is. Here's spatula available for him. I'd like to see Zeus's bench real quick, if that's cool, because the thing here is he got the sword on the last carousel, and so now he really needs that spatula. Is he going to get it? There it is. He finally gets it. We are going to see, I believe, our first assassin of the lobby. Look at him stretch it out, hands on top of the head. That is a relieved TFT flare right there.
Yeah, and he's 2 for level 6, so
he just needs his mouth.
he needs to get level 7. Oh my god, did he get the tier 3 casting into? He got it!
Oh, it happened! He is online, and the Zed!
Wow. And level 7. And level 7. No. Well, hold on. Let's make sure that he doesn't mess it up. I've done that more than once.
Yep, when you just drag the wrong item on accident.
Yep.
There it is. You
6
got the void.
All right. So Zeus can go get a drink if he wants. He can come back at the end of the lobby. He will almost certainly top 4. Not really much he does here is going to matter probably, but I don't know. No, maybe I do know. Maybe I do know.
look at all that damage already. This is why this comp is frustrating, right? It just all of a sudden comes online, and look at that Kassadin just slap that noodle across their faces and take him down. And he's going to find himself a win streak here very soon. I mean, at this point, he's got to be a favorite to finish in top 2, I think, at least. And it's just so much damage. The void buff is so strong. The changes coming up is definitely going to nerf this particular kind of comp unless, Kassadin gets the void buff, a la Imperials. Yep. But now he can kind of chill out. He can try to find some more Evelyns if he chooses, maybe a Katarina. He has his pick of the litter for other things that he wants to add to this comp. He has a 6 assassins. A nice redemption on the Rek'Sai if things go awry.
Good call there, going for the Cho. I even run Cho 1 over Rek'Sai 2. But yeah, he really doesn't need to do much to be able to finish this off here. One interesting thing is he actually put his Cho'Gath pretty far forward. Yeah, and even with the super hyper the hyper carry Draven, they just don't care. Assassins don't care. You just one shot him.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is hey, he took care. Kladeous took care of the Kassadin, but it wasn't enough, right? Even though the Kassadin was off the field, there was so much that you could do with everyone else. A level 3 Zed definitely going to help your cause for sure. But what you're going to need is potentially, a glacial proc and some lucky and some luck, I think, to deal with this Kassadin. He got the spatula. In my opinion, the lobby maybe should have scouted that out and took the spatula away from him instead of maybe...
There was two.
That's true. That's true.
You can't play around that. It unfortunately for them, they can't play around it. And what's interesting here as well is that two of the shapeshifter players, both Jinx and Faye, don't really have the items to have optimal like final builds for these shapeshifters. Like you really, although as I say that, he does get a at least potential Phantom Dancer, which would be huge against Void Assassins. But if he doesn't build that, like the Assassin is just going to eat through a lot of these shapeshifters.
Yeah, and something else that I'm a little surprised by is the TFs all coming into play. I think a lot of people might have assumed before the TF was on the weaker side, but I think people have started to use him more as utility, as an enabler to get these shapeshifters going. And if we saw sorcerers to get those sorcerers going, can fit in. I can't believe I'm saying this, and I'm helping out. Can fit in Yordle comps as well to get those to get the machine gun Viger going. But yeah, the utility of him is very strong, but it's all about the RNG. You've got to get that blue card, and even though it stuns nice, it's not a blue card, and you need to get those transitions.
I mean, it's all, every one of his options is all right, but the blue card is just massively good. Getting early sorcerer casts, getting multiple sorcerer casts, getting your shapeshifters online instantly is just so strong.
Yeah, and Sphinxy Boy is going to be eliminated in 8th place. He tends to live on the polls, I guess. First place or 7th or 8th place on the. I think he got 6th last time, but he's either getting points or he's not. And that's going to be Sphinxy Boy's a lobby for this round 3. He's still in it, though. Those 4 points might be able to carry him. If he wins another lobby, he could still find himself in that top 3. But right now, things are getting pretty close here. Is Faye at 15 health? That's the lowest I think we've seen her get to outside of the top 2. And looking at the top, we've got 57.
You want to see at 15 health.
Yeah, but we've got 57 HP at the top. Zeus, I don't believe, has lost in a bit. I think he's one away from win streaking. The Cho'Gath is going to get taken down. Oh, is this going to work out? The Queen
has fallen. Oh, nope, still alive. Still alive. Actually would have survived even if it was the real opponent too. But the Ghost there keeping Faye alive. And that is a level 3 Twisted Fate. We see 3 players right now with single-digit health, and Azcryte, who is on a win streak, but is also and Rayditz. Look at this. I'm just looking at this. I'm just realizing this now. We've got Jinx at 57. Everyone else is under 25 health. Yeah, potentially at one-shot death. Like the wrong roll of Void Assassins could kill any one of these players.
This is definitely the closest lobby that we've gotten so far. We've got Zeus, who's losing with his Assassin. That's got to make some people feel good, but he's finding himself in 2nd place. Again, this is anybody's game still. The blue card with that TF has the rank 3 TF. The Kindred going to use Lamb's Respite and is going to be able to survive as Faye doesn't want to look at her own board. Actually does find the victory as Kladeous drops down to 2 HP. Kymzi falls down. This is amazing to watch. You got some win streaks going on 2nd and 3rd place. Jinx is still at the top, but is losing. Zeus lost another game in a row, so the Assassin isn't just that lock that he intended to have.
Wow.
This is so... I can't reiterate this enough. We can't reiterate this enough. This is by far the closest lobby that we've gotten so far today. Really, anybody can take this, and you got to believe in the Queen. Kladeous, I don't know, man, but I feel the 5th place once more for you. We'll see if that, and we'll see if that happens. Jinx at the top, not win streaking right now. We got the upgrade onto the Ash. It really can go any way.
Oh my God, Kladeous has had a level 1 Draven for what feels like 500 years.
At this point, it's like
I don't even think anyone else is running Draven. That's just unfortunate. Does have 4 Imperials though, which is really cool for him. Don't see that one a ton.
It could work out here. Shelly's gonna get some nice tanking in, but that level 1 Draven, not
just such a piece of paper. It's made out of paper mache.
Has a level 2 Yasuo before the level 2 Draven.
Does survive though by the skin of his teeth.
How else is he going to get 5th, Blev?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, so Faye gets eliminated.
The Queen has fallen.
Yeah, first time today that she will finish without points. Will maybe still be in the lead depending on how the rest of the game goes out into the last round.
True.
She had a 3-point advantage already. No level 2 Draven just yet. Again, at least the level 2 Yasuo is there. Azcryte sitting at the top, 21 HP at the top, 2 at the bottom. Again, this lobby's not going to last much longer past Dragon.
No, we're literally, and we could lose 2 or 3 players here potentially.
Yeah, and speed of loss might actually matter here as well. And it looks like Kladeous finds his way to the top 4. Zeus, assassin player, is going to get eliminated outside the top 4. He was looking so strong for such a long time, but these players, I think, are just good at positioning, getting some of those assassins to bait into units that they didn't need to be focusing, and finishes out of the points once more. Spent all day trying to get this comp, and once he finally gets it, still doesn't get into the top 4. That is, it feels bad. And now we still have Dragon to come through, and it's, max 2 rounds past Dragon for these players. 2 HP for Kladeous. At the top, we've got Azcryte, who is on a win streak. We got some Glacials this time around. Man, this has been close.
Azcryte has been on a win streak for a long time. I'm interested to see. It does look like his stream is down, unfortunately, so we're just going to have to see the fire on his board here, knowing he's been on a win streak for quite some time. But, like you said, Boop, like any of these players could die now. We're probably like 2, maybe 3 more like rounds here. I don't think we're going to see another carousel, though. Rayditz is already positioning all the way in the corner, just hoping that he can get a 3rd place finish instead of a 4th place.
Oh, hands are clasped, man. Hands are clasped. We've got nerves going on. I see a little bit of sweat on that mustache.
Yeah.
And some glistening going on as well.
This is another one of those positions where, like, there's not a lot of, like, his only real upgrade here is Swain 2, which he's not close to. But like, he does have 25 HP. I guess this is the higher level player, like, knowing the correct thing to do. I would have spent my gold there, but Jinxed, unfortunately, out here with another 4th place finish for him.
and so he's, I think, the only one that's finished in the money all 3 rounds so far, so his consistency might be rewarded by the end of tonight.
Rayditz also right now has finished in the points every game as well, but yeah, everyone else has at least one Blevins donut to their name. And we'll see after this round how close the scores are, but I am imagining it is going to be a very tight race going into this last round.
Almost as tight as this one here, right now. 2 HP from Kladeous. He's been sitting at 2 HP for 4 rounds so far. Finally found that level. Draven survives. The Bloodthirster is not going to be enough for the Draven, but everyone else is going to live. Kladeous finds himself in the top 2 along with Azcryte. 14 HP to 2 HP. It is going to be Draven versus the world. 4 Imperials. Another one that we haven't seen that much. Finds the level 2 Swain as well.
That's big Swain there. And then, we see the Gunslingers. Azcryte's actually running the Gunslingers. It's been the secret this whole time because his stream's been down. But he got the Gunslinger Blade Master dream.
He's got the level 3 Lucian, level 3 Tristana, did just lose in that last round, and Draven could potentially heal through it. He's got to get the Swordbreaker. Huge Hex Tech, though. Is it going to be enough? The Swain is going to transform. The healing is there. The Hex Tech is going to go away. Misfortune's going to do Misfortune things and not hit anything, and that's going to be it, as Kladeous starts from the bottom with 2 HP and survives and wins the lobby.
Wow.
Beautiful work coming in from Kladeous as we end the round of 3, moving into our last round. It's going to be tight. Finishing in the top 4 will pretty much make it required for you to finish in the top 4 at the final standings. There's not a lot of wiggle room for a lot of these players. No. Unfortunately, if you haven't found points so far, you're probably playing for bragging rights, but hey, it's also good to be a spoiler here. So if you're
Dream Crusher
Kymzi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can crush some dreams. And remember, guys, if you donate bits, that's all going to be going to these players, these staff, and everyone involved in a fight night. So please throw your bits down, take them out of your pocket, recycle them as well.
Dust them off, shine them up, pick them up, put them in the pot, and by the pot I mean Twitch chat. And let's see some copy pastas here as we go into our final round coming up here. We'll take a quick look at the scores in just a second here. But yeah, we're still seeing. Actually, you predicted it, Boop. Faye still the front runner here, even with the donut, with 7 points here. We've got Rayditz, the beacon of consistency, with 6 points, Azcryte with 5, and then a 3-way tie with 4 points. Jinx, Sphinx, and Kladeous all with 4 here. So, like you said, Boop, if you haven't gotten a point on the board yet, you're probably you're mathematically out of the top 3, but literally everyone else could potentially top 3 here. So we've got a 6-person race here going into this last round, and I have casted 2 of these fight nights, but at least from my recollection, I've watched most of them. I think this might be not necessarily the closest race between 2 players, but the widest race of potential top finishers here going into this last round.
We got a wide load here on the scoreboard, that's for sure. But Faye and Rayditz have a good lead at 7 and 6. So it's going to require, if Faye doesn't get into the top 3, it's because she bageled on this last round.
Yeah,
so
if Faye and Rayditz bagel, it's anyone's game to get first place in.
So if Faye and Rayditz both get points, though, they might be able to just get into that top 3. So a top 4 finish for both of those players is almost a guarantee that you're going to be invited to the next round. And remember, the top 3 get invited into the next week's Fight Night. Faye, the only one to participate, and I believe all 5 so far. And if you think you can participate in Fight Night, you do have to be Diamond and above. You can use the command !TFT, sign up, and it'll give you the information that you need to participate, and also tell you how to be more involved in our the HeroesHearth TFT community. Again, you have to be Diamond and higher. We're looking for Challenger and Grandmaster players as well, but if you think you can make it in, you can participate in these games as well.
Yes, and speaking of making it in, Angry Dwarf makes it in with another 500 bits. Says he doesn't do the pasta, but here's some more biddies. It's okay. Pasta is not required. You can even throw in some gluten-free pasta for our caster Boop here.
Those big old biddies, man. Those are some nice stuff. And so now we also have we had one earlier from Admiral John. These bits are for the Yordles, not the casters or the staff.
Hey, you know what, Admiral John? All I'll say is that Poppy is very appreciative of the bits. That's all I'm saying.
We're 40% of the way there. We've only got one more round, so please donate. It helps the community. It helps us put on more of these tournaments week after week. HeroesHearth definitely appreciates it. And so now that we're here at the beginning of these rounds, not a lot going on really. The thing to look out for a lot of these opening rounds is who gets items and who gets gold. And right now Zeus sitting at 17 gold.
It's a good spot to be in. A lot of gold. I definitely me likey the early econ, and I think a lot of top players like it as well, because you're still going to get those items, right? And we see the ping here on 2. People are already pinging Zeus's economy, having that 20 gold already. Absolutely insane here as we go into this opening gambit. I mean, I don't know, Boop. Are you predicting Zeus to run the 4th game of Void Assassins? Is going to happen a 4th time?
No, I don't think so, because the reason why was you pushed it just so you could have the ability to run the comp like to its fullest ability, right? Mm-hmm. And so he got the spatula, he got the sword, and he got 5th place, right? So he still finished with that big old bagel. And it's important to learn when to. At this point, it's like Sisyphus's hill, right? He got to the top of the hill, and the boulder still ran down.
Yeah. Well, here's the other consideration, though. I think everything that you said there was correct. However, Zeus out of contention here, so he's just playing for pride or spoiler or whatever. but he could also, as we see here, Zeus technically out of the top contention, but literally everyone else's game, depending on where these top players finish. But Zeus has the possibility, as this is the last game in HeroesHearth Fight Night, and HeroesHearth Fight Night this week is as far as I know, the last broadcasted tournament on 9.18. He can be the last person to run 9.18 Void Assassins, period, in terms of broadcasted tournaments. So that's if that's not something to play for in a game where I can't win, I don't know what is.
Blev, I feel like that's like if someone won Miss Garbage Heap, right? Like I won a competition, but it was against garbage. And so that's what I think of Void Assassins, my friends, is we get a nice Pikachu copy pasta.
Is that a Pikachu? Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
We also
got some sandwiches.
Thank you. Well, 100 bits, the Subway bonus bits as well, because it is still September. So if you do use that Subway Bitmoji, we'll get some extra bits here. If you're looking to get just a little bit of extra mayo and lettuce and cheese out of those bit donations as we go into this last round here, use that one.
What's your favorite Subway sandwich?
My favorite Subway sandwich is actually choosing to go to a different restaurant.
Did you know, crazy, totally off topic, but that's the tracks for us. I think Subway was like more, it made more money than like McDonald's for a very long time. It was like it made more money than all of the other fast food chains. Subway.
That makes sense. It's like, I mean, it's all right. Like sometimes I'll go to Subway. I'll just get like a basic turkey sandwich, but I only go to Subway. Like I only went to Subway when I worked very close. Like there was literally one right across like the way, like not even a street. It was just like I was in downtown. It was right across the like little street. And I was like, well, I don't want to eat junk, so I'm going to get Subway because
what a weird sentence. Because it still tastes like junk.
Yeah, but it's got like slightly fewer calories. At least I think it does.
Well, did you know also, I think the best thing at Subway is their pizza. I'm not
Never had it. Never had it. Never will either.
You can put like whatever you want. So I would put like the buffalo chicken with some extra cheese on it and a little bit of onion. It was pretty good. I
mean, putting buffalo chicken and cheese on anything generally will be good. I can't disagree with that. Man, we sure did get off on a tangent here.
But speaking of buffalo chicken and cheese, we're going to be casting some TFT here in just a second. Let's go ahead and look at these.
That was a transition that I would have
done. And the items are so very important here. We got some going on some of the units. Again, a lot of these players have to decide, do I put my items on now or am I going to try to wait later? Do I put them on a unit that's going to use them for the time being and then transition out of it? This has definitely been a really interesting day because that third game was so different than every other game that we had seen. More Glacial Rangers. Yeah. We had a Gunslinger player make it to the last two. Asol and Shyvana wasn't as popular for that third lobby. So if I had to assume, we're probably going to be going back to that Asol Shapeshifter top two for this game. But right now we've got Zeus with a ton of money and the ability. He's loose streaking on purpose here, and that's a big reason why I think he has those level 1 units out. Even though you put the cannon in, maybe not. Maybe he's just been unable to find those level 2 units. But he's rolling in the dough right now. He's Scrooge McDuck, diving into those coins.
Yeah, he's got a big economy. It's just, what is he going to spend it on? I mean, like we say, you don't get to take that money to the next game. Also, there is no next game, so need to really figure out where he wants to go. It does look like he's staying as open as possible, as he has, as you would call, the smorgasbord of units here. He's just got like this is just the most like visually unpleasing bench I think I've ever had. There's like no coherent like synergies in this bench. It's just like a random mishmash. Also, the colors of the units are all so weird. I'm getting a mild headache looking at this, but it's not a bad spot. Like being at such a high economy this early is obviously going to be very good. And I think we're going to see Zeus continue to fall potentially for a little bit, and then maybe after Krugs or after the next carousel run, I think we're going to see a big jump from Zeus like we see with a lot of other players.
Yeah, a lot of people open just to kind of feel out what the rest of the lobby is doing, right? Just to see, oh, this person's going Shapeshifter, so maybe I should potentially go Glacials, or this person's going Glacials, so maybe I need to go something else. And you get a little bit more leeway in terms of choice and itemization if you wait. But you have to have the money. You have to be doing it correctly, because Kymzi also sitting at 50 gold.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing multiple players at 50 gold. We are seeing, let's see, Kymzi maybe going for some Yordles. Let's see it. Get those Yordles in.
No.
I want to see it. Although opted not to pick up a Lulu there, so maybe not going Yordles. Really, and again, kind of a mishmash here. Maybe going the Gunslingers. But oh man, it looks like just the thought of Yordles has triggered Admiral John here with another 400 subway bits plus the extra 10% from the September. That is all. Those are all for Yordles. Love it. Love it. Love it.
You know, they said when we made our vows, you know, they did say for better or for worse, and we're definitely in a for worse situation right now. There's going to be some conversations. There's going to be, I think we're going to have a heart-to-heart after this, because I don't know if I know him anymore. You know, just remember the man that I married.
I mean, just remember all of the personal attacks that you throw on him have an 83% chance of missing. So maybe don't bother.
I don't have bombs. Touche, my friend. You are the victor in this go around.
We got there.
Oh, Blev. This is why I hate Love You, man. It's been a good time. It's been a good time. I'm off my kilter, dude. Like my brain is You just get fried by the Yordles, but Kymzi is unfaltering here, as it looks like she is doing the old hyper rolleroo here for some slingers. There's a Graves. Gonna have to make the gonna have to make the Sophie's choice of what unit is not going to make it past this round here. Looking for one more Tristana to create the tier 3 and 2 more Graves here. But really, you know, when we saw this build actually come to fruition last round with I believe it was Azcryte. It was Azcryte. Yep, you're correct. Actually getting that Gunslingers build online and getting to the end, and it looks like Kymzi hitting that big Tristana pretty early here. So going to be interesting to keep a tab on her as she goes into, and the tier 3 Graves. Oh man, this looking like the money paying off here. Big hits for Kymzi. Well, we saw Sphinx try this exact strategy, but I think Kymzi's doing it a little bit quicker. Finds the tier 3 units a little quicker than Sphinxaboy did a little earlier today. And this Swordbreaker is going to be brutal. That's how you overcome the level deficiency, right? Yep. Kymzi only level 4, still going to be the Queen, Faye, even though Faye 2 levels higher. The Swordbreaker definitely helps along with the Gunslinger buff. It is a big deal that she finally has these tier 3 units. Kymzi, one of those players trying to play spoiler here, all the way from the UK. It's so late there or early. And she's going to want to sleep well after this game, because potentially you're going to cause someone to drop out of the top 3. Yep. Yeah, this is a crazy one so far, and we even see Jinxed here. Again, kind of, he's got the Void Core in right now, and an Ash, that's a demon. Had the Void Core, now looking like he is going into the 4 demons, 2 Rangers.
this is an interesting one. We don't see this a ton, but a really strong comp here. Just needs the Kindred here for the 4th Ranger as well.
This is interesting. We haven't seen this. I wonder what late game potential we might see from this. Morgana is a unit I do kind of miss. I think will have an opportunity to shine in upcoming metas. It's one of those characters that I think once you can crit on spells could be pretty valuable. And we're seeing it be valuable right here and right now. I think one of the better mid-game units just in general, Morgana, got a little bit of an armor buff a little while back. And so the idea was that the Morgana can stay through the whole ultimate cast, and we saw Jinx use it so very well there as we come through onto our next carousel.
Yeah, we did see a spat get picked up by Zeus. Is he gonna pivot? He's just been saving all this gold. It was a bait the whole time. Oh, how 5-head is that? You don't pick up the Void Assassins early. So when people are scouting, they're like, oh, no one's going Void Assassins. I don't need to carry them anymore. And he just saves his gold, sells his entire team, and just rolls like 80 gold to try to get Void Assassins. How 5-head is that?
I think my brain just got another wrinkle, my friend, from hearing you explain that. I think that is. I think that's pretty awesome. I wonder if that's going to be it.
No, he doesn't have the sword. He hasn't. No, he's not doing it. That would be hilarious, though, if he did do that. No, he just rolled past a Kha'Zix. So, no, and Zeus, coward. Didn't
wow. We're piling up on this dude, man. Yeah. So let's say something nice.
Okay,
so
Zeus, I love the enthusiasm to force the Void Assassins every game. I mean, even though he's not doing it this game, he still is, because I don't think anyone else is running it, the last player to, in a broadcasted tournament, play 9.18 Void Assassins. So that is something he will be able to take to his grave, tell his grandchildren in many years to come that is an accomplishment that can never be taken away from him.
And he does find some Yordle. Awesome. Along with some of the sorcerers, too. So the dodge will be there, and the Morgana is going to be there as well. So we got some demons going. We got more demons in this lobby that we've seen. Picks up the Gnar, the best Yordle. Not in terms of thematically. If I had to pick a Yordle, right? If they were like, okay, Chris, I know you hate Yordles and everything about them, but you had to pick one, it would be Lulu.
Okay.
Because
got a pretty cool hat.
She does have a pretty cool hat, and I think the whole you taste purple is like one of the greatest voice lines in League of Legends history. The other one being Rammus's okay. And then I'm a simple man. What can I say? And then but yeah, we got 3 Yordles here. We got some sorcerers, so everyone's going to be doing a little bit more damage, and we might be looking at a potential Machine Gun Viger going if he's going to hard transition into Yordles.
That's a fun one. I love the Machine Gun Viger. I think if I had to pick a Yordle, I don't know. I'm biased. I'm biased towards Tristana for a couple of reasons. I used to play her back in League back when I played in like 2010. Because back in the old days, if you liked the Riot Games Facebook page, you got a free Tristana skin.
Yeah, Riot Tristana.
Yeah, I had that back in the day. And I also have met the voice actor for Tristana and hung out with her at the Grand Finals last year.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, she's a Twitch streamer.
Man, we got some Viger fans in the chat. That's very, very interesting. Viger's theme is actually really cool. It's pretty funny. It fits like the Yordle thing pretty great. So I think in the lore, he wants to rule the world, but no one takes him seriously.
So like Pinky in the Brain.
Yeah, but in the game though, he has the ability to scale up infinitely. So if he touches another champion or kills creep with his Q, or hits a champion with any other of his abilities, he permanently gains power. So by the end of the game, he does end up being able to carry. So that's why I think
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's why his ultimate, when he gets to level 3, just automatically kills somebody, because he does end up becoming one of the strongest people in the game, because everyone underestimated them.
That is actually really cool. The only thing I remember about Viger from playing is that his voice actually makes me want to mute the game.
We got some Teemo fans. I believe Teemo and Tristana are in a relationship, or is that Rumble, or is Tristana and Rumble?
I don't even know what Rumble is.
Rumble is a Yordle that's in League of Legends proper. He gets in a mech. I think he has a thing for Tristana, but maybe Tristana's in a Teemo. A lot of drama in Yordle land. A lot of drama in this lobby as well. As that was a much better transition than my last one.
Yes, it sure was. That was a pretty low bar to cross.
And Faye fallen here, 27 HP, last place right now. This could be where the usurper comes through. The queen sitting at 27 HP.
Yeah, and we're seeing her do what we've seen her do these last few games and roll down to get to that power level. Faye is currently the front runner, though. It is going to take some finagling for her to get knocked out of the top 3, but it is certainly still mathematically possible, depending on where the rankings fall here. Rayditz, one of those players here in contention for dethroning the queen, though.
That was a big Viger ult, and then the Ashe comes through as well. And Rayditz, though, gonna fall as well. Can we look at Zeus? I'm almost positive he's running Yordle. I saw him pick up a Viger earlier. And I think,
yeah. He's got 4 Yordles. All
right. He picks up the Tristana. He's got 6 Yordles.
He has them. He's just waiting to upgrade them.
Oh no! This is you know what, Zeus? You and Admiral John can have a nice little powwow and talk about how these Yordles are so great. We do finally have the ability to potentially have 6 Yordles.
Uses the Nico's help. I love it.
Oh, to get the Gnar in. 4 Yordles now. He's gonna need to find that Poppy. I think you could just put the level 1 Tristan for the buff, but let's see how these Yordles are going to do.
Yeah, this is a really awkward position for him because, like, even if he upgrades the Yordles, he has to take out like a Brand 2 or a Morg 2. Probably the Brand, honestly, because you want that another sorcerer to give the sorcerer bonus because you're automatically going to have 2 Sorks in if you're running 6 Yordles. So it is it's a tough spot to be in because you really feel bad selling a Brand 2 at any point in the game.
Yeah, and you really want the Ahri, I think, more so than anything else to get that wild buff along with the sorcerer buff. It's a little bit more bang for your buck. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at this carousel right now. Looking at the top, Jinxed once again sitting at the top. But this has been a pattern for Jinx. He seems to have his early game locked down, right? Knows exactly what to do, and then finishes
the win streak.
Right, and then it doesn't finish off the game. I feel like I'm a pretty similar player where I really understand that early game and mid game, but once that late game comes through, it starts becoming challenging to maintain. And there's a lot of 3rd and 4th places there. Jinx maybe has developed enough of a lead to secure a 4th place spot, sitting at 96 HP, at 4th place at 30. So once again, this could be anyone's game. This lobby looking a lot closer to the last round than the first 2.
Bottom 3 could definitely die within 1 to 2 games for sure. I personally don't have any problem. I almost never lose in the late game, but that's because I don't make it to the late game. So can't lose in the late game if you don't get there. Think about it.
Another wrinkle has been pressed upon my brain. It's right there. Huge Gnar ult. This time around, will Faye be able to take this around and maintain her power as queen? Only at 19 HP, facing off against number 1.
Not gonna die.
Not gonna die. Actually wins. Turn this around against Jinx. Finishes Jinxed off. Oh, you got it, man. It's really funny. It's like watching poker players, right? You're looking for tells on like what their emotions are. We got a lot of hair swiping going on throughout the entire lobby. Hands pressed against the nose. Yeah. Right. Really, really good stuff from Faye. I think finding that comp just in time. We've got 2 people on the bottom side. Zeus sitting at 6 HP, Azcryte at 5. But really, Kladeous and Faye could potentially... Faye maybe not so much, but Kladeous too, especially at this point in the game. But they are on the brink of losing out as well.
Yeah, Faye has that added bonus of running that shapeshifter comp that's probably not going to die super early. So even if she does lose, probably at this point not taking 19. But of course, me saying that is of course going to cast her curse, but we'll see how that plays out. But Kymzi here actually in second place with 61 HP, has those gunslingers that we saw earlier, is not actually able to take out Rayditz though.
Kymzi's gonna fall, and this is where I feel like gunslingers start really struggling.
Oh, an Azcryte knocked out here in 8th place. Oh, he's not. No, wait. He is out. Okay, yeah. Sorry, some of the streams are a little bit off sync. I'm pretty sure I saw that. Maybe I'm making this up.
And then so Faye sitting at 4 HP and a dream. We saw Kladeous do this with 2 HP just last round, where I think he was sitting at 2 around this time and ended up winning the lobby. Jinx, the only one to lose, and was against Faye at 7th place right now, and that just goes to show how rock paper scissors this game can be. Once again, Faye sitting at 1st place with 7 points, Rayditz at 6th, and Azcryte with 5. But I think Azcryte is on the bottom side here. Is not going to increase his point total.
Has the possibility to get 3rd place still. If every 4-point player, if the other 3 4-point players are the next 3 out, he would still get 3rd place, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. Still, maybe has the possibility.
One of those wrinkles that appeared earlier is now
just got smoothed right out.
Yeah,
I just smoothed it right out.
Yeah, and so Faye gets 6 items out of that. I believe that's an item for every chicken, so that's gonna definitely help the cause. Roll-in for shapeshifters, doesn't find the other Gnar.
Yep.
But
this
is getting so close.
It's so close. Had to settle for a knight bonus on Shyvana, which is going to make Shyvana not quite unkillable, but is going to definitely be very hard to kill. Doesn't actually see and this is how you do it. The long stuns, unfortunately for the Shyvana, does not have any sort of health regen whatsoever. But it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Gonna actually take out Sphinxy boy. Poor Sphinxy. Man, had the phenomenal start, the firecracker getting that 1st place in the 1st round, but then just could not scrounge up another point after that, unfortunately for him.
Substars shine bright and fizzle fast.
It's true. What is it? A candle burnt at both ends. No, that's not the thing. No, it burns twice as bright but twice as fast. Something like that. I don't know. Something that someone in the 1700s probably said.
Well, it's probably Wayne Gretzky or something. Yeah. And then or Michael Jordan.
Abraham Lincoln, actually.
Yeah. Okay, I know that guy. We're buddies. 12 HP. Now for Rayditz, man, this is so close. Once more, the top 2 developing a little bit of a lead. Jinx only losing to Faye a little earlier, but now Faye needs to find herself in the top 4. I think if she finds a point, she will find herself in the top 3. It's so very important. Rayditz with that Kindred, that Lamb's Respite is going to help him out. It's going to cause Kymzi some brutal damage. It's going to be a ton of damage going their way. Faye now with that Shyvana, with that Phantom Dancer, doing some good work. Kladeous himself has that Kale, though, so that could be a nice little... It could be a nice way to save his butt if Faye's able to take this down. It looks like Faye is still at the advantage here and could potentially knock out Kladeous.
Wow, does knock out Kladeous and Zeus. So Kladeous with his 3rd 5th place finish, unfortunately for him.
Oh, Zeus, he lost with 6 Yordles.
The Yordles did not get there.
I like the how with the multiple question marks at the end.
Well, Yordles are really good at dodging things, including victories, apparently. They have an 83% chance to just dodge that victory.
So I think at this point, the way that the lobby has gone, Faye, I believe, has guaranteed a top 3 with that extra point because of that early win and a second place a little earlier on. Could still potentially win this. It's not done just yet, as Jinx still at 91 HP. So our last 2 champions are the ones that are really showing up here. We've got Kymzi trying to play spoiler, which is exactly what happens. But no, Faye gonna fall here, but good. If Faye's gonna fall, Rayditz is gonna fall, so it's gonna be Jinxed and Kymzi. So what Faye really needs is for Kymzi to somehow take 91 HP away from Jinxed at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she does have a very strong comp right now. Like this is the gunslinger blade master. This is it. If this is, like, we saw it actually last round as well from Kladeous, but this is the build you want to see. It's about as strong as you can get. I'm interested. I mean, again, is she taking that 43 gold to next? Like, is she taking it home? I don't know what. Like, there are definitely upgrades she could get here. I'm interested. I'd be interested to know what her thought process there was. But I mean, she's here in second place, and I am here as a schmuck on the caster desk. As we are seeing a very close round here.
I think it's to level up next round. So she doesn't have quite enough to level up, will survive the next round. And I can guarantee you that we're going to see that XP get bought and then that Yasuo will get put in.
That is why you got those extra wrinkles. And I'm here just with a bowling ball on my head.
Well, with a little bit of a beard as well.
Yeah, bowling ball. I got bowling ball brain beard. That's what they call me. Bowling ball, brain, beard, Blevins. That was my nickname
from Buffalo.
Grade. Yeah, from Buffalo. Bowling ball, brain, beard, Buffalo, Blevins. There you go.
There it is.
There wasn't enough B's.
And we're still at the top 2 here. 10 HP for Kymzi. Jinx, the only one to have failed Jinx was Faye. On.
Huge hex tech and kills the Gnar before it transforms.
That is enormous, and now the rest of the gunslingers are going to be able to get online. I don't see how Kymzi loses this, but a lot of damage goes through. Pantheon, for some reason, decides to stop attacking, and Jinxed is going to start going down. Are we going to be here for a while? Just 10 HP. Rapid Fire Cannon going to be a great item for Kymzi here to extend the range.
Wow.
And Jinx gets a Rabadons.
Well, that's also a wow with your sorcerers here. I mean, you could put it on Poppy, but I think it's probably going to go.
You could go on Morgana as well, or Pantheon, or Asol, or Brand,
or Aatrox,
or Aatrox. But
it's actually pretty huge too.
Yeah, but is the Aatrox going to be able to ult is my question, right? So who's going to be able to ult? And it's probably going to be the Morg, depending on how these gunslingers work. And the Aatrox might be focused down a little bit too quickly to, I think, invest an item like that. True. And the Morg could potentially get 2 procs off, not against gunslingers most likely, but we'll see who will receive this nice fancy hat. Who will it be sorted on? It's going to be the Asol.
Yep.
Kymzi still at 10 HP. This could go her way. The thing about gunslingers, it's all about getting those procs. There's a little bit of RNG that goes along with it. And so if the Swordbreaker works out, then Kymzi might find herself on a win streak too.
Yep. And I'm wondering, who did she put the RFC on? Is also another question. The Hush and the Swordbreaker just so strong. Now we're seeing the dance of moving your units to different corners to try to play around different things. Ooh, not quite as good of a hex tech there.
That was a big reason why Kymzi was able to win that last time and wasn't able to get rid of the Gnar. This is going to be all jinxed for this round. Kymzi playing spoiler a little bit in this top 2 as she does go down. That's going to be nice for her. She's going to finish in the money, at least with some points, as Jinxed, I believe, with these 4 points, finishes with 8. Could we potentially have a tie here at the top? Because Faye had 1 more, and I hear from the wonderful birdie in my ear that we're going to be breaking some ties. And so this is as close as you can get, folks.
It doesn't get any closer than this. Stay tuned. Lock on your television screens, although it's 2019, so your computer screens here, as we're going to be breaking some ties. And even down to the very last second, we've got the drum rolls here. Ooh, where are we? Who are we going to see win here? This was, I mean, I got to say, even regardless of this last tie, this was one of the closest fight nights that we've seen just in general. And certainly one of the closest tournaments that we've casted, Boop.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And this is exactly what we want to see from a TFT. This is how competitive it can be. And I do love how this game does reward consistency as well. It's not all about who's the best at a certain time, like Sphinxy Boy in our first game, but it's who's the best over a period of time, over a bunch of games. And we saw today that consistency is going to reign supreme with everyone who's going to be on top. I believe Faye and Jinx scoring points in at least 3 of those rounds. And so they're going to find themselves in
Jinxed all 4, actually.
For this top 3. So you have to be consistent. Not as consistent as Kladeous was getting 5th, but at least he did get that win. So here it is. We have a 3-way tie. Jinx, Faye, and Rayditz. And Faye is going to be the victor for today. Jinx will follow up in 2nd, and Ray will be in 3rd. So Faye continues to be the queen. We've only seen her win and get top 3, and she's going to win this time around as well. Jinx, unfortunately, unable to become a 2-time defending champion, will finish 2nd, and Rayditz will finish 3rd. And those 3 will be invited back for the next fight night. I think we're going to take a little bit of a break for TwitchCon next week, but next time we're here, those 3 will be invited back. Remember, the !TFT sign up will tell you how you could potentially participate here as well. But Blev, 3-way tie. That's absolutely insane.
Wow. That's actually crazy. I mean, we knew it was close going, and I was not expecting a 3-way tie. The statisticians were chiming in my ear. It's only a 0.0001% chance of a 3-way tie. It'll never happen. That's what they told me. No one ever told me that. But one thing that is going to be told to us is Faye coming in for our winners interview here as she gets thrown in here. Faye, congratulations on another victory here at HeroesHearth Fight Night.
Thank you. I definitely didn't think I was going to win. I thought Jinx had to win, so I thought he won the tiebreaker, but...
Well, you did, and so now you're going to get all the accolades. So, how does it feel to be? I mean, to really be the queen of HeroesHearth TFT for so long?
I mean, feels pretty good. It's kind of turned in my own little personal league, I suppose.
At this point, I think we got to make you a crown or something.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, like, you're making all the lobbies, so it would really be a travesty if you didn't top 3 here, because you keep the lobbies going so well. But in that vein, like, there's been 5 fight nights and you've been at all of them because you've top 3'd all of them. What are your strategies or just general thoughts going into these sort of contained tournaments and being able to top 3 so many?
It's mostly just play to the meta and then play to the lobby. So I try to scout a lot as much as I can, see what everyone else is going. And I do tend to force the same comp pretty much every game, but it's a pretty strong comp. So, and most people weren't like super hard rolling for it. So
true. Yeah, we did see you running the Shapeshifters build, and the Twisted Fate was actually a big one that I'd seen a little bit of. But what are your thoughts on that Twisted Fate really being in that sort of Shapeshifter Sorcerer comp?
Yeah, it's something that's kind of popped up over time, but most recently it kind of got popularized by I think his name is Kerm, it's KRM. That Poppy, Gnar, Lulu, Twisted Fate, Asol, Shyvana comp, like he apparently won like 14 or got like top 4 with like 13 out of 15 games in a row or something. So it's like a really strong comp because Twisted Fate just spams blue card and gives all of your units like mana, and they just keep holding.
So you're saying I feel like Yordles are really good.
The 3 Yordles. 3 Yordles are okay. 6 Yordles. I don't know about maybe with the new changes with the Yordle item coming in. We'll see 6 Yordles.
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid of the Dragon buff plus the Yordle buff. You got the dodge, you got the Dragon's Claw. So speaking of the new patch that's coming up, you're one of the last victors potentially of this patch. So congratulations on that. But now that we have the new patch coming out, what are you specifically excited about?
The death of Void Sin. Hopefully. I just want that god.
I mean, this lobby kind of seemed like it was the death of Void Sin in and of itself. I mean, we saw Zeus really kind of try to force it 3 out of the 4 games and came online in one of them and kind of fizzled out at, I think, a 5th place finish. But
there's opportunities for people to run Void Sin. They got Spatula first and then they didn't run it, which, I thank them so much for not doing it. I would have been very tilted if I had to play against more than one person going Void Sin.
Just a noble cause for sure, without even having to run nobles. But as we finish up here, Faye, is there any last minute shout outs or anything that you wanted to talk about here before we get going?
No, just shout out to the HeroesHearth crew. Like, Jules is amazing at production. She does so
I
good.
will second that.
It runs so smoothly. And just shout out to you guys for casting, coming on while Crone and Casanova are out in Europe taking a vacation.
Having vacation and fun. You get the B tier caster like me, and then you get a real caster like Boop, but it's his first time. So, but awesome. Well, thank you for that shout out, Faye, and congratulations again for being our HeroesHearth Fight Night champion for tonight, and a 5-time top 3. That's just insane to me. Like, I couldn't even get one first place when I played, and you're over here getting a top 3 finish in 5 fight nights in a row. Let's see if we can make it a 6 for the next one. And good luck to you there. But folks, that is going to be it here for the fight night tonight. Thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you to HeroesHearth and to the rest of the production staff that you guys don't see on the back end, keeping this production just so silky smooth, like my brain is right now after all of the bad predictions and casts in the casting that I made. But yeah, guys, there's still a little bit more time left to get your bits in to get into the community. Everything helps and helps us do even more casts as we go on. Boop, anything else? Oh yeah, Boop, anything else before we get going here?
Yeah, man. And so thank you so much for. It was a wonderful time. Once again, thank you, Jules, for the production. Congratulations, Faye. But we're going to go ahead and plug ourselves for a little bit of time here.
We're not doing phrasing anymore? Are we...
But we are a part of a wonderful podcast and community called the Little Legends Podcast. You can find us on Tuesday nights on the Prediction Esports channel, as well as on Spotify and on iTunes. We talk about the patches. We have guests on. So please take a listen to it. We love talking about TFT. It is a passion of ours. And if you like the banter today, there's even more of it going in for Little Legends. We got some Decker Kane and Sean Connery impressions when we realized they're actually the same person.
Stay a while and listen.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want more of that kind of content, please take a look at our Little Legends podcast. We have a wonderful Discord community as well that does our own little fight nights every single Friday. That's what Blevins was talking about a little bit earlier. And we just want to grow this community along with the rest of the TFT community as well.
Yeah, definitely check us out. Discord.me/Little Legends Podcast to get into that. But yeah, we're just trying to have fun. We definitely are really super serious all the time. Nothing crazy or unexpected ever happens with the Little Legends Podcast. No surprise guests, no puppets or anything like that. But that is going to be it, guys, for the HeroesHearth TFT staff. For Boop, I'm the Blevins. We will see you guys in 2 weeks for the next one. And thanks for watching.